Chapter 2378. Dongfang Bingbing's father is also a boss, but she, a junior, dared to be so rude to Fatty Goo, an old spicy monkey. It can be seen that Fatty Goo, an old spicy monkey's strength, is much lower than Dongfang Bingbing's father's. Dongfang Bingbing and Gongsun Yurong can't see through Fatty Goo, an old spicy monkey. This is also because Fatty Goo and old spicy monkey don't have the ability. Even though they are being ridiculed in public, they don't dare to make a sound. This hall is so big. Us staying here won't hinder you. Old spicy monkey raised his voice a bit, but it can still be seen that he is very timid. At this time, a golden-haired, thick-browed, square-faced, sturdy youth walked over and shouted, "Old spicy monkey, can't you see? We're going to hold a banquet and invite our friends. What are you idlers doing here?" "Linghu Quan, we are not idlers. No matter what, we are your martial uncles." Fatty Goo is somewhat angry and said, "You juniors are truly becoming more and more arrogant. Come on, just the two of you want to be compared to the fathers of our three families? You are indeed father's junior brothers, but with your little bit of ability, you are not worthy to be compared to them." Gongsun Yurong said with sneer. Qin Yun and Yun Long are watching from the side. Yun Long is also somewhat worried because he knows that these young and vigorous juniors are more likely to cause trouble. For example, Dongfang Bingbing and the other two juniors dare to be so disrespectful to Fatty Goo and Old Spicy Monkey in public. It can be seen that they are very arrogant and simply do not put these two seniors in their eyes. Quickly scram. Linghu Quan's temper is more violent. He angrily shouted at Qin Yun and others. The youngsters that came from the other god worlds watched from the side. At the same time, they pointed at the old hot-tempered monkey and Fatty Goo, criticizing these two seniors. They said that the two of them didn't look good and their strength was weak. Their god power aura was very weak. This caused Fatty Goo and Old Spicy Monkey to be filled with anger. However, they can't do anything because they can't afford to offend the three bosses behind these three youngsters. At this time, Dongfang Bingbing's attention is focused on Qin Yun. She just found it strange that this Saint God Realm young man has been leisurely drinking tea. He looks very calm and composed, giving off a rather steady feeling. "Who is this? Fatty Goo. How can you just casually bring people in?" Dongfang Bingbing snorted. "This guy is only at the Saint God Realm. Do you only make friends with Saint God Realm people? All of you are seniors of the Tao God Realm after all." Dongfang Bingbing was from the Tao God Realm. Although she had just stepped into the Tao God Realm, compared to the young sacred gods of the other god realms, she was like a crane in a flock of chickens. Not to mention the young saint gods of the other god realms, even the seniors of the Saint God Realm and the seniors who had just stepped into the Tao God Realm were too ashamed to show their faces in front of Dongfang Bingbing. They could only blame themselves for being lacking in talent. "Fatty Goo, Bingbing is asking you a question. Quickly tell me, who is this guy?" Gongsun Yurong said in a cold voice. Fatty Goo, Old Spicy Monkey, and Yun Long can't help but sweat on their foreheads. They are very clear about Qin Yun's temper. He is someone who would beat someone up without saying a word. He should be a guy who is very good at pretending. Look at his calm appearance. Linghu Quan said with sneer. This kind of guy, just by pretending to be quiet, he thinks he is an expert. Why don't you take a look at his cultivation? Big brother Linghu. That guy should be an ordinary sacred god of a god desolate, right? Looking at his appearance, he can be considered a young man. I, a little sacred god from the purple fire divine realm, want to see how strong an ordinary sacred god of your god desolate is. A young man wearing purple clothes and long hair that looks like burning purple fire walked out. Zi Shaoqin, don't pretend to be weak. You are not some little sacred god. You have 7 Tao images. Dongfang Bingbing laughed charmingly. If you step into the Tao God Realm, I might not even be your match. Sister Bingbing, you think too highly of this little brother. As far as I know, Sister Bingbing is also a person with 7 Tao images. Moreover, her Tao image has attracted the sacred Calamity Gate. Of course, I think the reason why Sister Bingbing can attract the sacred Calamity Gate is mainly because you are too beautiful, causing the heavens to be jealous. Dongfang Bingbing covered her mouth and laughed. Apparently, she is very happy. Linghu Quan said, Zi Shaoqin, go and beat that guy up. Compared to you, ordinary sacred gods of God Desolate are no different than chickens. Beat them up as you please. Really? Zi Shaoqin faintly smiled. If that is really the case, then he would not have the face to stay in this hall and would not obstruct our banquet. Zi Shaoqin already walked towards Qin Yun while speaking. At this time, Linghu Quan and Gong Sun Yurong stepped forward and pressed down Fatty Gu and Old Spicy Monkey's shoulders. They are worried that Fatty Gu and Old Spicy Monkey will disturb Zi Shaoqin. Fatty Gu and Old Spicy Monkey are not worried about Qin Yun. They are worried about Zi Shaoqin. They feel that even if Zi Shaoqin is not killed by Qin Yun, his fate will be very ugly. Yun Long is already calm. He only wants to see how Qin Yun will teach this young sacred god from the Purple Fire Divine Realm a lesson. Zi Shaoqin, that person is my God Desolate sacred god. You must show mercy. Dongfang Bingbing said with a sweet smile. Sister Bingbing, since he is your God Desolate sacred god, you should support him. Zi Shaoqin laughed a few times. But it seems like you all want him to be beaten up by me? Don't worry, I won't let you down. I will use my purple flame divine power to burn him until he is worse than dead. Dongfang Bingbing smiled charmingly. Not at all. She looked at Qin Yun, who was drinking tea, and said with a charming smile, Little brother, you are my God Desolate sacred god representative. Don't let us be laughed at. If you win against Zi Shaoqin and bring glory to God Desolate, I, Dongfang Bingbing, am willing. Before she finished speaking, she saw Qin Yun, who just drank a mouthful of tea, suddenly spit out tea from his mouth. The tea congealed into a water arrow and shot towards Zi Shaoqin's throat. Boom! After the water arrow entered Zi Shaoqin's throat, it exploded. After the explosion, Zi Shaoqin's neck exploded and his head flew out, smashing into a dragon-carved pillar. Bang! Zi Shaoqin's body fell to the ground, and his head fell to the ground at the same time. Those youngsters who originally wanted to see how Qin Yun would be beaten up, especially the young sacred god from the other god realms, are all dumbfounded. Is this the strength of a young sacred god from God Desolate? A mouthful of tea was spat out in the neck of Zi Shaoqin. A 7-image sacred god exploded. Qin Yun just lightly spat out a mouthful of tea. He slowly put down the teacup, and Yun Long promptly poured tea. Qin Yun looked at Dongfang Bingbing and said with a smile, You haven't finished speaking. Continue speaking. Everyone looked at Qin Yun in a daze, and then looked at Dongfang Bingbing. What do you think you will be willing to do if I defeat Zi Shaoqin? Qin Yun said with a smile, If you want to marry me, then forget it. You are not worthy of me. However, you are barely qualified to be my maidservant. Dongfang Bingbing is a young Dao god. She also has 7 images becoming a maid? You are too impudent. Dongfang Bingbing is so angry that her delicate body is trembling. Someone actually despises her and even said that she is only worthy to be a maid. Moreover, she is barely qualified. Being able to be my maid is a blessing that you have cultivated for several lifetimes. You should properly cherish it. Qin Yun said with a smile, It doesn't matter if you haven't considered it now. Wait until you have considered it, then you can agree. Seeing that you still have some good looks, I will give you time to consider. Fatty Gu and Old Spicy Monkey are scared silly. They know how strong the boss behind Dongfang Bingbing is. This 9-yang palace king actually wants Dongfang Bing to be his maid? Who are you? Gong Sun Yurong said in deep voice. Do you know? Bing Bing and I have secretly decided to marry each other. We're about to hold our wedding. It will be held inside the 3rd myriad world divine sun. Qin Yun said with a smile, Then have you slept with her? If you have slept with her, then don't even think about becoming my maid. You two can continue living your life. However, I feel that Dongfang Bing and Linghu Quan are quite suitable for each other. Don't tell me you are trying to snatch her away with a knife. Linghu Quan's expression changed while Dongfang Bing is gnashing her teeth in anger. The surrounding youngsters also smelled the smell of gossip. Gong Sun Yurong's beautiful and fair face is now filled with dense killing intent. It is ice cold, as if it is covered with frost. Shut up, Gong Sun Yurong said angrily. I think you have never slept with Dongfang Bingbing, and Dongfang Bing won't let you sleep with her. Because she is a smart woman. Although she has agreed to marry you, she doesn't intend to block the way. If you were to be crippled before the wedding, she could still marry Linghu Quan. At that time, she would use her chastity to protect Linghu Quan. At that time, she will use her chastity to make a boorish fellow like Linghu Quan believe that she is sincere. Qin Yun mischievously laughed and then sipped a mouthful of tea. Gong Sun Yurong's expression became even more unsightly. Although she is currently looking at Qin Yun with incomparable anger, everyone can see that when she glanced at Linghu Quan, the killing intent in her eyes was not light. Three big brothers and big sisters, don't let that bastard drive a wedge between us. Zi Shaoqin, whose head was rolling on the ground, shouted with tears of hatred in his eyes. You should take that guy down. He is clearly provoking you. Qin Yun suddenly raised his hand and pointed his finger at Zi Shaoqin's body. A powerful, exploding heaven finger power vibrated out from Qin Yun's fingers. Rumble. After a loud sound, Zi Shaoqin's body was smashed to pieces. Zi Shaoqin looked at his body being smashed to pieces and realized what it means to live a life worse than death. He can only wail in despair. You, who the hell are you? Linghu Quan shouted. What is your purpose in coming to the Heavenly Dao pawn shop? Qin Yun chuckled and said, Who am I? What does it have to do with you? What does it have to do with you that I came to the Heavenly Dao pawn shop? My father is one of the three big bosses of the Heavenly Dao pawn shop. What does it have to do with me? Linghu Quan said angrily. Chapter 2379. Upon seeing Qin Yun's strength, Gong Sun Yurong and company did not dare to act rashly. My father has a share in the Heavenly Law pawn shop, so I have the right to speak, because I will inherit the Heavenly Law pawn shop in the future. I can be considered the future boss of the Heavenly pawn shop. Linghu Quan pointed at Qin Yun and yelled, And you're just an outsider, yet you're causing trouble here. Don't even think of leaving here alive today. Gong Sun Yurong took out a long sword and was ready to fight. Shut up. Why can you little things invite your friends in, but we can't? Old Spicy Monkey suddenly became tough and shouted angrily. Are you looking down on us? Don't forget, back then, eldest senior brother Heavenly Way handed the Heavenly Way pawn shop to the five of us to manage and gave each of us a Heavenly Way blood token. Fatty Goo sneered. As long as we still have the Heavenly Law blood token in our hands, then our position in the Heavenly Law pawn shop will be higher than you dogs. Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo finally flipped out. They are already under Qin Yun's control. They feel extremely sullen in their hearts. Yet now, those people of the younger generation did not place them in their eyes at all. This caused them to lose a lot of face, and they could no longer endure it. You guys, Gong Sun Yurong was a little scared when she saw Old Spicy Monkey's ferocious look. After all, they were all juniors. If the Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo were to fight with their lives on the line, even if they didn't die, they would be severely injured. There were young sacred deities from other divine realms watching, and they were all invited by Gong Sun Yurong and the other two. If Gong Sun Yurong and the other two were to lose face here today, they would definitely not be able to raise their heads in front of the other young talents of the divine world. No matter what, this fellow injured Zi Shaoqin. He must be punished today, Gong Sun Yurong said furiously. Zi Shaoqin only had one head left. He was extremely afraid. He was worried that Qin Yun would blow up his dog head with one move. Qin Yun is very fond of getting rid of the enemy's body and leaving only their head. He wants the enemy's head to see with its own eyes how their body is destroyed. In the past, Jiang Zhuchuan's son had experienced it. Then, it was Envoy Wang, who stood beside the ninth heaven's Empyrean Exalt. He was the one who wanted to challenge me. Qin Yun shook his head and said with a smile. He said that he would use some bullshit purple flame to burn me to the point where I would wish I was dead. Have you forgotten? If you want to blame someone, you can only blame that fellow for being inferior. Dongfang Bing said coldly. That's because you deliberately concealed your cultivation. You are clearly a Tao God realm, but you are pretending to be a Saint God realm. I am truly a sacred God. I have only cultivated 2 sacred heavenly Tao images. Qin Yan spread out his hands. His heavenly lion Tao idol only needed an opportunity to cultivate, and he was also looking for that opportunity everywhere. According to his previous experience, he would need to experience a great battle in order to trigger this opportunity. It would be best if he faced a relatively strong enemy. Therefore, Qin Yan wanted to enter the Heavenly Law pawn shop and find some of the more powerful bosses. He wanted to see if he could trigger an opportunity to break through by fighting with them. You liar. Dongfang Bingbing's face was full of disbelief. Zi Shaoqin has cultivated 7 sacred heavenly Tao images and is only half a step away from stepping into the Tao God realm. As for you, you only cultivated 2 saintly heavenly Tao images, yet you beat him to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. You must be a Tao God. Zi Shaoqin felt very stifled in his heart, even though he didn't have a heart anymore. Regardless of whether Qin Yan was a Tao God or not, he still felt very uncomfortable. He also cursed himself for being too fond of being in the limelight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been knocked off his head by Qin Yan's mouthful of tea. I'm not lying to you, Qin Yan said with a faint smile. To be honest, forget about a shoddy sacred god like Zi Shaoqin. Even you young Tao God realm cultivators are not my match. You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Dongfang Bingbing immediately took out a disc and said with a sneer, "This tool is used by the Heavenly Law pawn shop to test the Tao images. We also often accept the pawns of the Tao images, specially used to verify the Tao images on the customer's bodies." The disc is like a red mirror. At this moment, it is facing Qin Yan. She continued, "If you're not a Tao God, I will eat this Tao image divine mirror." After saying that, she activated the Tao image divine mirror. The Tao image divine mirror shot out a beam of light towards Qin Yan. Everyone immediately looked at the mirror. How many light dots appear on the Tao image divine mirror means how many sacred heavenly Tao images he has. Gong Sun Yurong said. While shining, Qin Yan did not do anything. He just let her shine. After shining for a while, 2 light dots appeared on the Tao image divine mirror. There are really only 2 sacred heavenly Tao images. Only 2 sacred heavenly Tao images can defeat a powerful sacred god like Zi Shaoqin. This is very hard to believe. You must have mastered some secret technique to hide your cultivation. Dongfang Bingbing angrily stamped her feet. Bingbing, if you want to prove whether he is a Tao god or not, there is one simple way. That is to beat him until he reveals his Tao God power. Ling Hu Quan took out a pair of large sabers. These 2 large sabers look like pig slaughtering knives. They are golden and dazzling. They are very suitable for a sturdy person like Ling Hu Quan to use. Ling Hu Quan, if you are crippled by me, Gong Sun Yurong will wake up laughing even in her dreams. Seeing Ling Hu Quan coming over, Qin Yan laughed heartily. Gong Sun Yurong's expression is unsightly. She said in a deep voice, "Senior brother Ling Hu, don't listen to that guy's nonsense." Although Ling Hu Quan's limbs are well developed, his brain is not simple. After thinking about it, he did not walk towards Qin Yan. Instead, he retreated a few steps and said, "Junior brother Gong Sun, you are stronger than me. You go." Of course, Gong Sun Yurong did not attack Qin Yan because if he was crippled, Dongfang Bingbing would definitely marry Ling Hu Quan. At that time, he would suffer a great loss. Seeing this scene, those youngsters all laughed in their hearts. Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo secretly admired Qin Yan. With just a few words, he provoked Gong Sun Yurong and Ling Hu Quan. At this moment, Dongfang Bingbing is also gnashing her teeth. Bingbing, you see, both of them don't dare to attack. They're all cowards. You better not marry. Obediently be my maid. Qin Yan said with mischievous smile. Don't be arrogant. I will attack you. Dongfang Bingbing is very angry, not only at Qin Yan, but also at Gong Sun Yurong and Ling Hu Quan. You want to attack me? I am so pitiful, always attacked by you female hooligans. Qin Yan helplessly sighed. After everyone heard this, they cannot help but laugh. Dongfang Bingbing is very angry. Her jade face is completely red. Her blue skirt suddenly fluttered. A very strong divine power rushed out of her body. If you're only a sacred god and can defeat me, a Tao god, then what's wrong with being your slave? Dongfang Bing said in ice-cold voice. Sacred God Realm, able to cultivate 2 sacred heavenly Tao statues and defeat Bing Bing, a Tao god with 7 sacred heavenly Tao statues. If there is truly such a person, then it can only mean that he is not a person, but rather a heavenly Tao. Gongsun Yurong said, and heavenly Tao no longer exists. Linghu Quan said in deep voice, heaven is the body, Tao is the soul. Heaven still exists, Tao is already dead. Qinyan seems to have heard these words somewhere before. He suddenly recalled that Tian Daozi once said this to him. Heaven cannot have Tao, but man has Tao. Man attains Tao, then attains heaven. That is heavenly Tao. Qinyan chuckled. This is also what Tian Daozi said. Hearing Qinyan's words, Gongsun Yurong and the other 2 youngsters, as well as Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo, their expression changed. Who the hell are you? Dongfang Bing is shocked. She also furiously attacked. Her body turned into a blue phantom and suddenly arrived in front of Qinyan. Her jade-like palm shot out like lightning. 7 sacred heavenly Tao statues' divine power whistled and transformed into palm energy. Qinyan is sitting on a chair. His eyes are slightly wide open. Dongfang Bing's palm attack has become very slow in his eyes. He also extended his palm and sent it towards Dongfang Bing's palm. Dongfang Bing's sacred heavenly Tao statue's divine power condensed into a very dreadful palm energy. It brought along a cold power and entered Qinyan's body. Qinyan operated the Nether Sun Tao statue and guided all the divine power Dongfang Bing sent into his body into the Nether Sun. Dongfang Bing sensed that the divine power within her body is pouring out towards Qinyan's palm. She immediately felt extreme fear. She wanted to retract her palm, but failed. Boom! Suddenly golden light flickered behind Dongfang Bing. A sacred tribulation gate appeared. It's Sacred Tribulation Gate. Someone shouted. Other God Worlds people also know how dreadful Sacred Tribulation Gate is, so they all ran far away. Even Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan have no choice but to run far away. This hall is very big. They're now leaning on the wall of the hall and looking at the Sacred Tribulation Gate in amazement. Could it be that Dongfang Bing released Sacred Tribulation Gate? Gongsun Yurong's face is filled with shock. I heard that her 7 Tao statues attracted 5 Sacred Tribulation Gates. Could it be that she took one? Linghu Quan is also very shocked. It should be Dongfang Bing took 1 Sacred Tribulation Gate. I wonder which Tao statue took it. Gongsun Yurong gritted her teeth and said, he suddenly feels that Dongfang Bing is a scheming bitch, because Dongfang Bing is clearly stronger than him, yet she is willing to marry him. Moreover, she is also hovering around Linghu Quan, causing him to have some fantasies about her. Gongsun Yurong carefully thought about it, and her body immediately became covered in cold sweat. She feels that Dongfang Bing is trying to obtain the heavenly Tao blood token from their father through them. Dongfang Bing originally did not want to expose her Sacred Tribulation Gate, but now she has no choice but to use it. Otherwise, she will be defeated by Qinyan. When Qinyan saw Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan's shocked expression, he realized that Dongfang Bing is deliberately concealing this matter from them. He can also see that Dongfang Bing is a very scheming woman. Old Spicy Monkey, Fatty Goo, as well as Yun Long jumped in fright. Dongfang Bing is Boss Dongfang's daughter. She will inherit the heavenly Tao blood token in the future. With her strength, she will be able to completely suppress Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan. You bastard! I hate you to death. Dongfang Bing stamped her foot and shouted. The Sacred Tribulation Gate behind her also opened. After the Sacred Tribulation Gate opened, an oppressive cold air rushed out. A long sword condensed from white ice flew out and stabbed toward Qinyan. It is the heavenly sword Tao image. Gongsun Yurong yelled in alarm. No, it is the heavenly sword Tao image fused with the ice-cold Tao image. A Tao image transformed into a sword. Moreover, inside the Sacred Tribulation Gate, it must be very formidable. Sacred Tribulation Gate? I also have one. Qin Yun's palm is still touching Dongfang Bing's palm. Chapter 2380. Young Tao gods like Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan found it hard to believe that Qin Yun also had a Sacred Tribulation Gate. In their opinion, those who were able to take away the Sacred Calamity Gate were all people with extraordinary talent. Furthermore, they were certain that they had obtained a great opportunity. For many people, when transforming their Tao statues into great heavenly Tao statues, encountering a Sacred Tribulation Gate was already very good, let alone subduing one. As for Dongfang Bingbing and Qin Yun, they had encountered many Sacred Tribulation Gates. For example, Qin Yun had encountered a total of 10 gates, and all of them had been subdued. Dongfang Bingbing had also subdued the Holy Calamity Gate. As for how many she had, no one knew. She would definitely keep it a secret. So what if you have the Sacred Tribulation Gate? Dongfang Bingbing is very confident. She controlled her heavenly ice sword Tao image to stab at Qin Yun. Qin Yun's Sacred Tribulation Gate opened with a loud rumble, releasing a burst of powerful sacred heaven divine power. Following that, a hammer flew out, bringing with it a powerful flame. It smashed towards Dongfang Bingbing's heavenly ice sword Tao image. The divine hammer Tao avatar and the sky's sword Tao avatar clashed. This was a battle between ice and fire. After the intense collision, Dongfang Bingbing's heavenly ice sword Tao image and Qin Yun's divine hammer Tao image flew back into the Sacred Tribulation Gate. In the previous clash, it was clear that Qin Yun had the upper hand. This was because there were more scorching chi waves, completely covering up the heavenly ice sword's icy sword intent. Dongfang Bingbing is still facing Qin Yun's palm. She is unable to retract her palm, and the divine power within her body is still being devoured by Qin Yun. Even if she took out Sacred Tribulation Gate, it is useless. She has been suppressed by Qin Yun from the very beginning. She also did not expect that Qin Yun would have such a powerful Nether Sunday. If she had known earlier, she would not have rashly attacked. Dongfang Bingbing quickly discovered the formidable Nether Sun in Qin Yun's body. In her heart, she is incomparably regretful that she acted rashly. In the universe, although the Nether Sun was very small, it was very dark. It was hidden in the darkness and could devour any stars. Its devouring power was very shocking. Often, many powerful divine suns would be completely devoured after a long time if they encountered a Nether Sunday. The reason why Nether Sun is so formidable is because it has the ability to swallow an elephant. Although Qin Yun's cultivation is not as high as Dongfang Bingbing's, his Nether Sun is enough to contain Dongfang Bingbing's divine power. I said it before, I am not a Tao god. Otherwise, I would have defeated you long ago. Qin Yun laughed, then controlled the Sacred Tribulation Gate to open again. The image of the divine hammer flew out again. As the hammer flew out of the Sacred Gate of Tribulation, it shot towards Dongfang Bingbing's face like a shooting star. Bang! The divine hammer struck Dongfang Bingbing's beautiful jade-like face, causing a burst of flames and flashes. Everyone who saw this secretly felt their hearts ache. They cursed Qin Yun for not knowing how to have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. After all, Dongfang Bingbing was a very talented woman. Although she was a young Tao god, she had tried her best to avoid being heavily injured just now. She was able to quickly gather divine power in her head. Therefore, Qin Yun's attack just now only caused her face to turn red. However, it caused her hair to be in a mess, and she felt a splitting headache. Dongfang Bingbing was extremely angry in her heart. She was mainly angry at Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan for not coming to help her. "You are going to lose," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Now you should be able to confirm that I am a sacred god, right?" Dongfang Bingbing can indeed confirm that she sensed at least 5 Tao images' divine power erupting inside Qin Yun's body. Among them, only 2 are sacred heavenly Tao images. The rest are great heavenly Tao images. Qin Yun hid a portion of his Tao images. Otherwise, Dongfang Bingbing would have been vigilant against him. You are despicable. Dongfang Bingbing is flustered and exasperated. She cursed. Quickly release me. You are going to suck me dry. You are the one who did it. If you want to suck me dry, I will be sucked dry by you. Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. This kind of terrible words caused people's imagination to run wild. Dongfang Bingbing's already red face became even redder. You. Quickly release me. I will be devoured to death. Dongfang Bingbing shouted in fear. She is truly afraid. She can sense that Qin Yun is truly unceasingly devouring her. If the divine power in her body was completely devoured, then the next thing to be drained would be her mind power, then her soul, followed by her Taoist image, and the energy contained in her flesh and blood. The fate of being devoured is to become a shriveled corpse. It will be extremely unsightly. Dongfang Bingbing's body is very strong. Qin Yun sensed it just now. It is an existence close to heavenly body. Otherwise, she would not have been able to block Qin Yun's hammer with her face. Sorry, I can't stop. Qin Yun sighed and said, Too bad. You are not fated to be my maid. Quickly stop. I am willing to be your maid. Dongfang Bingbing screamed in fear and shouted, Senior brother Gongsun, senior brother Linghu, quickly come and save me. Bingbing, you are stronger than us. If you can't save yourself, then we also can't save you. Gongsun Yurong's gorgeous face is filled with indifference. She indifferently said, My good junior sister, don't worry. This is Heavenly Law Pawn Shop after all. If that guy really kills you, he won't be able to leave. Linghu Quan's expression is also indifferent. He basically has no intention of taking action. They are now very sure that Dongfang Bingbing will not belong to them, because with their strength, they are unable to control a woman like Dongfang Bingbing who can subdue Tribulation Gate. Not to mention that Dongfang Bingbing is a scheming bitch. Making a decision is also what Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan are thinking at the same time. You two bastards. Dongfang Bingbing angrily stamped her feet and loudly cursed many unpleasant words. Qin Yun is looking at Dongfang Bingbing with a smile. He still has no intention of stopping. Dongfang Bingbing's tone has also become a bit weaker. It is clear that her divine power is being drained very quickly, and she is becoming weak. Quickly stop. I am truly willing to be your maid. Dongfang Bingbing is completely scared. She is very worried that Qin Yun will accidentally devour her. While speaking, a light dot appeared on her forehead. It is the entrance to receive the soul contract. Qin Yun laughed, directly injected the soul power of the contract, wrapped around Dongfang Bingbing's soul, and signed a master-servant contract. Seeing this scene, Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo secretly admired. He actually accepted Boss Dongfang's daughter as his slave. Of course, both of them are now the same as Dongfang Bingbing. They're also considered as Qin Yun's slaves. Qin Yun, who is sitting on the chair, with a beaming smile on his face, withdrew his hand. Dongfang Bingbing's delicate body softened. She almost fell down, but Qin Yun pulled her over and let her sit beside him. When everyone looked at Gongsun Yurong, they felt that his head is a bit green. Dongfang Bingbing, who is about to marry him, has unexpectedly become someone else's maid. You bastard, listen to me. I will become your female slave. You can make me do anything, but don't think of occupying my body. Even if I die, I won't let you defile me. Dongfang Bingbing furiously said. Rest assured, I absolutely won't. How can I let you take advantage of me? Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. Dongfang Bingbing jumped up from the chair in anger. She gnashed her teeth and looked at Qin Yun. She doesn't dare to hit Qin Yun now. Otherwise, with just a thought from Qin Yun, her soul will be tortured. It will be very painful. Who the hell are you? Do you think that after taking Bingbing as your slave, you will be safe and sound? Your master-servant contract will be easily broken by Boss Dongfang. Don't look down on the 3 big bosses of Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. Gongsun Yurong said with sneer. She is also very unhappy that Bing Bing has become Qin Yun's female slave. The three big bosses will arrive soon. You can't escape. You are indeed very strong, but in front of the three big bosses, even if you have two Sacred Tribulation Gate, you will still be crushed. Ling Hu Quan said. Qin Yun said with smile, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Qin Yun, Palace King of Nanyang Divine Palace. I'm not a nobody. I don't know if you have heard of me or not." Just as Gongsun Yurong and Ling Hu Quan finished threatening Qin Yun, their expression suddenly changed. Although they're scared and surprised, they're even more excited. Dongfang Bingbing, who is standing beside Qin Yun, is also shocked. She can't help but take a few steps back. She really did not expect that the Nanyang Palace King would personally come to Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. They suddenly realized that Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo are standing beside Qin Yun like servants. They are not friends at all. Nanyang Palace King? I heard people from Nine Heavens Divine Race say that this person has Divine King Heavenly Seal, moreover, is close to complete. Zi Xiaoqin said in shock. I heard that he even killed Nine Heavens Demon Emperor. Gongsun Yurong and Ling Hu Quan immediately changed into very strong armors. They're also holding a few seemingly very strong heavenly talismans in their hands. Friends, what are you still standing there for? Gongsun Yurong laughed loudly and said, This person has Divine King Heavenly Seal, that is the Heavenly Seal of Heavenly God Desolate. I don't need to say it. You should know how useful it is, right? Take him down. We will divide up his Divine King Heavenly Seal. Ling Hu Quan's eyes seemed to be burning with fanaticism. He tightly grasped a large pig slaughtering knife. Other people also changed into armor, took out weapons and heavenly talismans. After all, they're the sons of experts from other god realm. The equipment in their hands is also the best in their god realm. They feel that they have more than 20 people on their side, and their equipment is also very good. This is also the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. They have all kinds of advantages. Among those 20 people, other than Gongsun Yurong and Ling Hu Quan, there are 3 other people who are Dao God Realm. They have a total of 5 Dao Gods. And on Qin Yun's side, there are only 4 people who could defeat Dao Gods. Cloud Dragon is not very strong. Gongsun Yurong feels that if they fight seriously, they can definitely suppress Qin Yun and company. They are also worried that Dongfang Bingbing will run away with Qin Yun, so they immediately took action. Great formation, open. A man who looks like a puppet released dozens of large puppets. Those puppets surrounded Qin Yun and company and then formed a great formation. Chapter 2381. Dozens of giant ghost puppets released a kind of evil, sinister, and cruel divine power. The ghost puppet's body suddenly turned black, and its eyes turned red. It chanted an incantation that made people's hair stand on end. The incantation surged out of its mouth, condensed by God power. If they could use the formation to take down Qin Yun without having to do anything, then Ling Hu Quan and Gongsun Yurong would have a very easy time. The puppet man from the ghost puppet divine world formed seals with both hands, constantly controlling the ghost puppets, gradually forming a very powerful barrier, sealing Qin Yun and company inside. This way, even if they couldn't beat Qin Yun and company, they could still stall for time and wait for the 3 bosses to arrive. This ghost puppet great formation is very difficult to break. My father said that the ghost puppet divine realm is a divine realm with very strong formations. They innately grasp many things in this aspect, especially those ghost puppet runes. They are very compatible with their innate divine power. Dongfang Bingbing said with grave expression, Don't worry, I won't let a delicate maidservant like you fight. Just serve me well, I don't expect a maid to fight. Qin Yun is not afraid of the ghost puppet formation at all. You bastard, you still have the mood to talk about this at a time like this. Be serious, or we will all die here. Dongfang Bingbing cursed. She really wants to pinch Qin Yun. Qin Yun closed his eyes and secretly released his spatial divine powers to sense it. He discovered that the ghost puppet array's spatial seal wasn't very strong. Although it could strengthen space and seal it to a certain extent, it couldn't be considered to be completely sealed. After Qin Yun discovered this weakness, he became even more unafraid. The supergravity he had now was very strong and could distort space. When the time came, with the little ant queen's spatial god power, it would be enough for him to break through the formation and rush out. Of course, Qin Yun won't run away because he still has to wait for the 3 big bosses to arrive. On top of that, those young sacred gods here all want to obtain his divine king heavenly seal and capture him. Naturally, Qin Yun will not let them off. Trash from other god worlds, it's fine if you don't behave yourselves after coming to my god world, but you still dare to strut around in front of me and even want to snatch my god king heavenly seal. You really haven't died before. As Qin Yun spoke, a black arrow appeared in his hand. That was the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Now, when he used the sun-suppressing divine arrow, he could unleash even greater power. The sun-suppressing divine arrow mainly relied on the divine power of the sun to become stronger. As for Qin Yun's sun-suppressing divine arrow, it has a type of 10,000 devour ability. This ability allows the sun-suppressing divine arrow to frantically devour energy before exploding out. Qin Yun has Nether Sunday. After he poured in Nether Sun power, the sun-suppressing divine arrow produced an even stronger devouring power. Go! Qin Yun threw the sun-suppressing divine arrow with great force. At the same time, he infused a very strong supergravity and spatial divine power into the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The sun-suppressing divine arrow shot out towards the puppet man from the ghost puppet god realm. It's useless. The puppet man saw Qin Yun attack and sneered. You want to break the ghost puppet grate? You're too inexperienced. When the sun-suppressing divine arrow flew over, it was blocked by a very powerful energy when it touched the transparent array wall. However, at that moment, the sun-suppressing divine arrow exploded out with a powerful supergravity, distorting the spatial field. At the same time, it pierced through space through the little ant queen's spatial divine power. Whew! There was a whistling sound. The spatial field was distorted and the sun-suppressing divine arrow pierced through the spatial wall. The sun-suppressing divine arrow's 10,000 devour ability operated and began devouring all kinds of tyrannical energy. The sun-suppressing divine arrow tore a small hole in the ghost puppet great array. And because of this small hole, the sun-suppressing divine arrow devoured the array's energy. Qin Yun pointed with 2 fingers and poured the divine power condensed in his body into the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The sun-suppressing divine arrow became even more berserk. In one spurt of energy, it pierced through the ghost puppet great array and stabbed towards the puppet man from the ghost puppet divine realm. The sun-suppressing divine arrow pierced through the great array like an arrow leaving a bow. It shot out like lightning and pierced the heart of the puppet man from the ghost puppet divine realm. The puppet man is a Tao God realm expert. He is extremely powerful, and his body has been refined into a powerful puppet body. Yet now, he was pierced by the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Although his heart has been pierced, the puppet man did not die. Just as he wanted to struggle, he discovered that the arrow that pierced his heart has a very strong devouring ability. It is crazily devouring the divine power in his body. As the sun-suppressing divine arrow devoured, it vibrated with a very strong divine power. The puppet man's body was shaken by the sun-suppressing divine arrow again, and then exploded. His body was blown to pieces. Only his head is still intact. Qin Yun waved his hand, and the sun-suppressing divine arrow flew back into his hand. The ghost puppet great array has been broken, and even the puppet man has been seriously injured. When the other youngsters saw this scene, they are all extremely terrified. They have already dispelled the thought of attacking Qin Yun. What ghost puppet great array? You want to seal me with this kind of thing? Qin Yun said with ridicule. I will let you see what a true great array is. 9 small altars suddenly appeared and flew in all directions, surrounding the entire hall. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation opened and began to slowly revolve under Qin Yun's control. Those people were originally stuck to the wall of the hall, but now they felt a suction force. Their bodies were sucked into the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. You guys are always worried that I will run away. Actually, I'm also very worried that you will run away. Qin Yun shook his head and said with a smile. He has experienced this kind of thing several times. Go! Linghu Quan let out a loud shout. He raised his pig-slaughtering knife and used all of his divine power to charge at Qin Yun. Other people also took action one after another. All kind of tyrannical divine power violently surged over, accompanied by many heavenly talismans that blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they rushed towards Qin Yun's group. Qin Yun raised his hand and released Sun Heavenly Shield through the 9-Sun Divine Spirit. The huge shield is like a golden translucent umbrella that blocked in front of him. Dongfang Bingbing, Old Spicy Monkey, Fatty Gu, and Yun Long, who are behind Qin Yun, can see all kinds of heavenly talismans smashing towards them. Then they heard a loud explosion, shaking their internal organs to the point that they feel like they are about to rupture. It is extremely shocking. And what caused them to be most shocked is that Qin Yun is actually able to block the attacks of so many heavenly talismans by himself. After the continuous explosion stopped, Qin Yun is still leisurely leaning on his chair. His eyes are filled with faint, smiling intent. They are filled with ridicule, and at the same time, they are filled with a domineering heavenly might that can cause people's hearts to tremble. Is this all you have? Qin Yun said with a smile. I hope the people behind you are a bit stronger. Otherwise, when they come to the Divine Desolate in the future, they will definitely be very bored. Linghu Quan and Gongsun Yurong did not go forward to attack. They only want to escape from this hall as soon as possible. They already know how big the disparity between them and Qin Yun is. They heard that Qin Yun beat up a few clan emperors and 9 heavens demon emperors, but they did not believe it. They thought that those clan emperors and 9 heavens demon emperors were weak chickens. Now that they are personally facing Qin Yun, they know that if a Tao god doesn't have a certain level of strength, they are all weak chickens in front of Qin Yun. Dongfang Bingbing is also dumbstruck. She doesn't know if she is unlucky or lucky. She thinks that she is unlucky because she was forced to become Qin Yun's female slave. Luckily, she doesn't need to be Qin Yun's enemy. Otherwise, her ending would be very miserable. Old Spicy Monkey, Fatty Gu, you two go and kill those guys. Qin Yun said indifferently. Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Gu looked at each other in dismay and smiled bitterly. They did not expect that Qin Yun would let them attack. Hurry up, Qin Yun said in cold voice. Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Gu shivered and immediately rushed out. They did not go to find Linghu Quan and Gongsun Yurong. Instead, they went to deal with the other God Realm youngsters. Those youngsters are all Sacred God Realm. They are no match for Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Gu. They were killed in a few moves. Previously, Dongfang Bingbing, Linghu Quan, and Gongsun Yurong thought that Qin Yun was Old Spicy Monkey's friend. But now, they are very sure that Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Gu are Qin Yun's slaves. Very soon, there are only 4 youngsters left. All of them are Tao God Realm. The armors in their hands are also very powerful, and their strength is not weak. Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Gu are unable to defeat them in a short period of time. They fell into a bitter battle. Qin Yun secretly released super gravity to suppress the 2 Tao God Realm youngsters. The 2 young men suddenly couldn't move. Fatty Gu and Old Spicy Monkey seized the opportunity and cut down the 2 young Tao gods with their blades. Now only Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan are left. You really want to kill us? Gongsun Yurong is anxious. She is panicking to death. There's no other way. If we don't kill you, we will die. Old Spicy Monkey wiped the blood on his saber and said, The only thing I can do is to make my saber as clean as possible to kill you. Fatty Gu has already attacked. Qin Yun released super gravity to make Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan's bodies become very heavy. Just as Fatty Gu's saber was about to fall, the hall suddenly trembled violently. A golden lightning struck the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation. Fatigue was hit by the golden lightning and cried out in alarm. The saber in his hand also fell to the ground. "Everyone come back," Qin Yun hastily shouted, and then withdrew the 9 altars. Fatigue and Old Spicy Monkey immediately returned to Qin Yun's side. Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan heaved a sigh of relief because they know that the 3 big bosses have arrived. Just now, those 3 bosses controlled the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop's great formation to attack. Yin Long said in low voice. And Qin Yun can also see it. That's why he quickly withdrew the 9-dragon Heavenly Origin formation to prevent it from being damaged. "You're dead." Gongsun Yurong is in a very sorry state. She pointed at Qin Yun and shouted. Dongfang Bingbing lightly groaned and said, "Qin Yun, you should have killed those 2 guys just now. Who told you to dawdle?" "I wanted to force their father to appear," Qin Yun said with a smile. "I wanted to see those 3 big bosses, otherwise these 2 would have died long ago. I know their father is watching." Nanyang Palace King, you and Bingbing cancel the master-servant contract. I guarantee that you will be able to leave this place safe and sound. The person who spoke is a middle-aged man. It is obviously that boss Dongfang. Today's matter, I, Gongsun, can act as if it never happened. Boss Gongsun also spoke. Nanyang Palace King, you have already thoroughly infuriated 9th Heaven Sovereign. You don't need to provoke us anymore. Boss Linghu also spoke. Chapter 2382. Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan are greatly puzzled. From her father's words just now, they could tell that their father is somewhat afraid of Qin Yun. It gives people the feeling that as long as he stops here, they will no longer pursue the matter. Even if so many young people from the other god realm died here, they would not pursue the matter. Furthermore, Qin Yun caused such a ruckus in the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. As the 3 big bosses, even if they don't kill Qin Yun, they have to capture and torture him. Dongfang Bingbing also has this kind of doubt. She knows that Qin Yun is very strong, and she is far inferior to him. However, she understands her father's strength very well. If the 3 big bosses join hands and they can control the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop's great formation, they should not be afraid of Qin Yun. Nanyang Palace King, did you come to the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop just to see us? The one who spoke is Boss Dongfang. He said coldly, "You caused such a big ruckus in the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop. We did not pursue your responsibility and even helped you clean up your mess. What else do you want?" "I came to the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop for my parents. Because of you, they were all under the 9 Heaven Law curse. This matter cannot be separated from you." Qin Yun coldly snorted and said, "You want to attack my parents? I will not let you off." Gongsun Yurong angrily rebuked, "How dare you? Do you really not know what kind of situation you are in? You still said that you won't let the 3 big bosses go. Do you know that your death is at hand? Death is at hand? Then come." Qin Yun looked at Gongsun Yurong as the divine power within his body condensed. After sensing Qin Yun's intense killing intent, the hall suddenly surged with spatial power. Gongsun Yurong and Linghu Quan were immediately teleported away. Nanyang Palace King, the matter of your parents being under the 9 Heaven Law curse is related to us, but we had no choice. The main culprit behind the scenes is still divine King Jiang Xian. Boss Dongfang said, "You should go find him." "I will go find him, but it was you who let my parents go out to cooperate with him, causing them to be cursed." Qin Yun gradually felt the strong pressure from the 3 bosses in the hall. The 3 bosses are very strong. They're definitely not ordinary Tao God Realm cultivators. It is possible that their cultivation has already surpassed the Tao God Realm. They were all bosses, but those 3 bosses were far more powerful than Old Hooligan and Fatigue. "Then what do you want?" Boss Linghu said, "It's all thanks to us that your parents weren't killed. Otherwise, they would have been captured by divine King Jiang Xian long ago." "I don't care. Anyway, my parents were cursed by you. You are one of the participants. You all have a responsibility." Qin Yun's imperial heaven heart throbbed. At this moment, he felt an extremely powerful pressure. The strength of the three bosses was really strong. Even Qin Yun was suppressed to the point of being unable to breathe. If you really want to save your parents and don't want them to be like this forever, then you should get down to business and not fight with us here. Boss Dongfang sneered. You are very strong, but if the three of us join forces, do you think you can beat us? Let's go all out, you guys come. Although Qin Yun felt a strong pressure, he did not retreat. Qin Yun, Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens, is already dead, but before he died, he gave birth to his son. This boy's strength is formidable. Even if the three of us join hands, it's likely hard to suppress. Boss Dongfang said in a solemn voice. What? Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens is dead? Why'd he die just like that? Old Monkey cried out in alarm. What's going on with the son he gave birth to? Bustling who said, although Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens was a man, his cultivation was different. Before he died, he condensed a baby in his stomach and poured all of his power and memories into the baby. After the baby was born, he ate Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens' corpse and quickly grew up. It can be said that he completely obtained Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens' inheritance and power. Moreover, he also has a long lifespan and a brand new body. Doesn't this mean that the baby is equivalent to Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens' reincarnation? Fatty Goo shouted. That is simply Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens. No, that baby only has Empyrean Sovereign Nine Heavens memories. His soul and body are new. He has his own personality. Boss Gongsuan's voice came over and said, not long after the baby was born, he arrived at Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate and gave himself the title of Empyrean Sovereign. Boss Dongfang's voice is filled with anger. This child did not fulfill our previous agreement. Moreover, he grew up in Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate and adapted very well to its environment. Now, he has rapidly developed and become a very powerful faction in the depths of Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate. You're telling me all this because you want me to risk my life against that, Empyrean? Qin Yun laughed a few times. Even so, I will not let you off, Boss Dongfang said with sneer. Qin Yun, you don't know anything. You don't understand Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate at all. Because we have the Heavenly Tao pawn shop, we are very clear about how fast Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate is growing. You have the Divine King Heavenly Seal, yet you don't hide properly. Instead, you swagger outside all day. You are truly courting death. You don't need to care about this matter. You caused my parents to be under the Nine Heaven Law curse. Of course, I will settle the score with you, Qin Yun said in cold voice. As long as you hand over the Divine King Heavenly Seal, your parents' Nine Heaven Law curse will naturally be removed. Of course, we don't want the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The three of us don't want this kind of great ominous object right now, Boss Dongfang said. Don't say any more. I will never hand over the Divine King Heavenly Seal. Qin Yun's attitude is very firm. The Divine King Heavenly Seal has been in his hands for a very long time, but he still hasn't discovered its true strength. He only knows that the Divine King Heavenly Seal is still in its growth stage, growing together with Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate and Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. With so many people fighting over the Divine King Heavenly Seal, it must have a very powerful aspect. It is just that he has yet to discover it. All right, we will show you a path. 10 days later, Divine King Jiang Xian's second avatar will descend upon Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate to fight over the third Myriad Realm's Divine Sun. Boss Dongfang said, if you want to remove the curse, you can only start with Divine King Jiang Xian. Otherwise, even if you kill us, it will be useless. Boss Gongsun said with sneer, he can't kill us now. Qin Yun laughed. I can't kill him now, but I will definitely kill him in the future. What? You don't believe me? Then what do you want to do now? Bustling who said angrily. Qin Yun looked at old spicy monkey and fatty goo and said, give me your Heavenly Tao blood token. From today onwards, I will have 2 of the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goot don't dare to disobey. They promptly took out their Heavenly Tao blood token and respectfully handed it over to Qin Yun. The Heavenly Tao blood token is actually made of wood. It is only the size of a palm, a very small piece. Its entire body is red, as if it was carved from blood red wood. When Qin Yun held it in his hand, he felt a peculiar feeling. He also can't say what kind of feeling it is. And strangely, after the Heavenly Tao blood token arrived in his hand, it quickly fused into his palm, as if it had fused into his body. Qin Yun did not sense that the Heavenly Tao blood token is inside his body. However, with a thought, the two Heavenly Tao blood tokens appeared in his palm. And at this moment, the curses of the three big bosses can be heard. They are cursing Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo because they handed over the Heavenly Tao blood token. Also at this time, something appeared in Qin Yun's mind. He suddenly gained the authority to make decisions in the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. For example, in terms of personnel arrangement, he can arrange a total of 200 of his people to work in the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. With a single thought, he accepted the Old Hot-Tempered Monkey and Fatty Goo as his subordinates. As for the shopkeeper Yunlong, he is an exception. It can be said that he was chosen by the votes of the five bosses. Give me the authority of my parents and foster father, Qin Yun shouted. Soon after, three light balls floated over from all directions and entered the two Heavenly Tao blood tokens in Qin Yun's hands. Qin Yun's parents, as well as Netherworld Great Emperor, were previously the subordinates of the three bosses. Now, they have been given to Qin Yun. You are now the boss of the Heavenly Tao pawn shop, but you only have 2 votes, and we have 3. Don't think that you can suppress us. Bustling Hu said with sneer. Qin Yun looked at Dongfang Bingbing beside him and said with smile, "That's not necessarily true. Maybe I can pull 1 vote from the 3 of you." Now Qin Yun is even less afraid of being killed by the 3 bosses. Because people who possess the Heavenly Tao blood token cannot kill each other. Otherwise, they will be devoured by the Heavenly Tao blood token. The 3 bosses seem to be united, but for them, there is no such thing as an eternal alliance. As long as there are benefits, they can be separated. Dongfang Bingbing secretly gritted her teeth. She originally thought that with her father's appearance, she would be able to regain her freedom. But now she has fallen 1 step deeper and become a hostage. Boss Qin, you have to live well. If you die, the Heavenly Tao blood token will also disappear along with you. Then we will have 1 less boss. Bustling Hu said with chuckle. Rest assured, I will definitely live longer than you guys. Qin Yun laughed heartily. Now that he has the Heavenly Tao blood token, he doesn't feel any pressure. Qin Yun stood up and let Yunlong take him to his area. The Heavenly Tao pawn shop is very big. It is divided into many spaces. Some of the spaces are small worlds with mountains, rivers, and 3 myriad realms divine suns can be seen. The spaces of the 5 bosses of the Heavenly Tao pawn shop are Vermilion Bird, White Tiger, Azure Dragon, Black Tortoise, and Qilin. Qin Yun is occupying 2 spaces, Qilin and Black Tortoise. Now, he is in the Qilin space. Although it is called Qilin space, there's only a huge mountain-like Qilin statue and then a barren plain. This is the old Hot Monkey's territory. It is not very big. It is only a few tens of thousands of meters wide circular wasteland. After Qin Yun came in, he looked around and asked, Old Hot Monkey, why don't they want to meet me? They might be worried that after you see them, you will suddenly remember something. Old Hot Monkey said, what can he remember? I think it's because the 3 bosses are not in the pawn shop. That's why they haven't come out. Dongfang Bingbing muttered. Chapter 2383. The appearance of the sovereigns in the heavens had indeed worried Qin Yun. However, he felt that it would be beneficial to confront the sovereigns earlier. At the very least, he would be able to understand their strength. That fellow has already given himself the title of Empyrean Supremacy of all heavens. Why would I want my godly monarch heavenly seal? Qin Yun shook his head with a smile. He did not appear to fear the Empyrean supremacy of all heavens at all. After all, He is the son of the Nine Heavens Supreme Ruler. The Nine Heavens Supreme Ruler was reborn in a special way. Old Spicy Monkey whispered, Boss Chin, you must be careful. The Ninth Heaven Supreme Sovereign is still very powerful. Chin nodded and said, the two of you, in the future, cooperate with Yunlong and do a good job in the Heavenly Dao pawn shop. If the other bosses make things difficult for you, you must tell me. Yunlong is now a lot more at ease. Because Qin Yun has the Heavenly Dao blood token, he doesn't need to be afraid of being killed by other bosses. Moreover, as a shopkeeper in the future, he would have enough confidence to do business in the Heavenly Law pawn shop. With Qin Yun's protection, he didn't need to pretend to be a grandson anymore. At least, he didn't need to humble himself in front of juniors like Ling Hu Quan. Palace King, aren't you going to stay in the Heavenly Law pawn shop for a while longer? Yunlong asked. No need. I want to return to the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun glanced at Dongfang Bingbing and said, I will take her away. She is now my maid. Dongfang Bingbing glared at Qin Yun and ground her teeth. Qin Yun pinched her chin and said with smile, Bing Bing, you must serve me, otherwise I will make you suffer. Oomph. Dongfang Bingbing slapped Qin Yun's hand away and lowered her head. She did not dare to glare at Qin Yun. She was afraid that she would be punished by Qin Yun. Qin Yun left the Heavenly Law pawn shop with Dongfang Bingbing. He had yet to fully control the Heavenly Law pawn shop, so he could not wander around the pawn shop. The two areas that he controlled were both empty. The three big bosses controlled the core area. Inside the Heaven Leaping Shuttle, Qin Yun flew back to the Sword Forest Mountain Desert. Dongfang Bingbing could only follow him obediently. Bingbing, how many sacred calamity gates do you have? Qin Yun is sitting on a chair. Dongfang Bingbing can only stand behind him. Can I not say it? Dongfang Bingbing asked in a low voice. No. Qin Yun laughed and said, I hope you can adapt to your current identity as soon as possible and become a qualified servant girl. It's good for you, good for me, and good for everyone. I've subdued 3 sacred doors of tribulation. Dongfang Bingbing replied. Qin Yun was somewhat surprised as he said with a frown, Why are there so many? Dongfang Bingbing rolled her eyes at him. Don't make a fuss. Subduing the Holy Tribulation Gate is very popular nowadays. Only the old-timers in the past didn't have a good grasp of the technique, so they didn't do it. So that's how it is. I thought this kind of thing is very rare. It seems like having a Holy Tribulation Gate is very common. Qin Yun thought that only he has one. It's not very common. Only a small number of people are able to attract the Holy Tribulation Gate while cultivating their Tao idol. Only a very small number of people are able to subdue the Sacred Calamity Gate. Dongfang Bingbing was extremely arrogant. Her beautiful face was filled with pride. So that's how it is. Qin Yun nodded. Do you know how powerful I am now? If I hadn't been tricked by you, your Tribulation Gate wouldn't have been a match for me. Dongfang Bingbing curled her lips and said, If I knew you had Nether Sun, I wouldn't have gotten close to you. If one gets close to someone with Nether Sun, it is very easy to be sucked in, devoured, crushed by gravity, roasted by Nether Sun divine flame, and so on. It can be seen that Dongfang Bingbing is very experienced in this aspect. She just didn't expect Qin Yun to have Nether Sun Day. Do you really think that I only have one Tribulation Gate? It seems like you don't have enough information. Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. Then how many Tribulation Gates do you have? 2. Even if you have 3, you are still not a match for me. Dongfang Bingbing said with sneer. What my father said is more or less the same. Only by relying on equipment can one become arrogant. What equipment do I have? Qin Yun shook his head and said with smile. There are always people who think that he relies on equipment, but he doesn't think that it is a bad thing because it makes people look down on him. You have 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation, Myriad Heaven's Divine Weapon, Sun Soul Divine Weapon, Divine King Heavenly Seal, 9 Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda, Heaven Trampling Divine Boots. I only know these. You are so treacherous. You must be hiding many good things to trick people. Dongfang Bingbing lightly groaned and said, You are speaking as if you were a good thing. Qin Yun said with smile. Aren't you also scheming against Gong Sun Yurong and Linghu Quan? Dongfang Bingbing became even more angry when this matter was brought up. She cursed in low voice. Those two stupid and useless pigs, they deserve to be schemed against by me. Dongfang Bingbing can only admit that she is unlucky to run into an old schemer like Qin Yun. After all, Qin Yun is a ruthless character who can wrestle with the three big bosses. Oh, that's right. Did you offend Ninth Heaven Great Emperor? From my father's tone, it seems like the Myriad Heaven's Great Emperor, who was born after Ninth Heaven Great Emperor's death, is not after your divine, King Heavenly Seal. Dongfang Bingbing is somewhat doubtful. Do you still remember Envoy Wang? Qin Yun asked with a smile. Of course I remember. That bastard is very savage. That's why the three big bosses let those two idiots, Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo, serve Envoy Wang. Dongfang Bingbing's eyebrows are slightly knitted, and she asked, could it be that you offended Envoy Wang? He didn't return to the Nine Heavens? Qin Yun said with a smile. He went back. I chopped off his dog head and destroyed his body outside the Myriad Heaven's divine moon. I let Old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo bring his dog head back to the Nine Heavens and help me pass on a message to Ninth Heaven Great Emperor. Dongfang Bingbing's face immediately turned deathly pale. She said in horror, didn't you form a death feud with that Great Emperor? This time it's over. He will definitely come and take revenge on you. I am also dead. What's there to be afraid of? Qin Yun is not very worried about the Myriad Heaven's Great Emperor. If he could have the cultivation of Tao God Realm, he would definitely be able to deal with that Great Emperor. Originally, he wanted to find the three big bosses and have a conflict with them. Then, he would have an opportunity to break through. However, the three big bosses deliberately avoided direct conflict with him. The Heaven Leaping Shuttle is currently flying back to the Sword Forest Desert. The Nine Yang Divine Palace is currently inside the Sword Forest Desert. Qin Yun thought for a moment, then suddenly controlled the Heaven Leaping Shuttle to change direction and fly towards the Third Myriad Realm's divine sun in the sky. He felt that fighting for the Myriad Realm's divine sun might be able to trigger an opportunity for him to break through. The Third Myriad Realm's divine sun is at a very high position. It is not easy to fly over. Dongfang Bingbing is inside the Heaven Leaping Shuttle. She also knows that they are flying towards the Myriad Realm's divine Sunday. She said in panic, Qin Yun, you want to go to the Third Myriad Realm's divine sun? You also want to possess this Myriad Realm's divine sun? Yeah. What's wrong? Don't your father and the others also want it? Qin Yun said. They wanted it before, but now they don't dare to think about it. Father said that when we fight for the Third Myriad Realm's divine sun, it will be very intense. He doesn't dare to go. He's afraid of dying there. Bingbing, you are after all the daughter of a big boss. Why are you so timid? Qin Yun said, bring out that arrogant young miss attitude of yours from before. I'm just your slave now. Dongfang Bingbing scoffed. How am I still some young miss? Then, as the female slave of the Nine Yang Palace King, you should also have enough imposing manner. Qin Yun said with a smile. If I meet a slightly more powerful Tao God from the Nine Heaven Divine race, I might not be their match. Dongfang Bingbing rolled her eyes. I can only put on airs in front of other young sacred gods. If I were to face a Tao God with true ability, I wouldn't be able to beat them. Qin Yun can't help but laugh. Then he patted Dongfang Bingbing's butt, causing her to gnash her teeth in anger, but she didn't dare to make a sound. At the very least, you have 3 tribulation gates, and you are even at the Tao God realm. How can you be like this? You youngsters are truly too heavy-headed and shallow. Qin Yun shook his head and sighed. Do you think everyone is like you, covered in divine equipment and 10 images? Dongfang Bingbing's voice softened a lot when she thought of Qin Yun's 10 images. Breaking the 10-image devil curse was a symbol. To be able to grasp the extremely powerful 10 meridians, 10-image divine power, just thinking about it is terrifying. It is said that among the 10 images, one of them must be the heavenly Tao image. This Tao image is extremely mysterious, and no one knows how strong it is. Previously, a boss said that in 10 days, the battle for the third world divine sun would begin. No one knows how long the battle will last, but there will definitely be experts gathering. After flying for 2 days, the heaven-leaping shuttle is still very far from the third world divine Sunday. Qin Yun feels that this is not the way to go. He might not even be able to fly in 10 days. Fool! The myriad realms divine sun is very far from the ground. With this kind of speed, we definitely won't be able to fly in 10 days. Dongfang Bingbing said, "This requires spatial travel. I originally thought that if I flew over like this, it wouldn't cause any commotion. If I travel through space, it will definitely produce a weak spatial fluctuation that anyone with a bit of strength can sense. Qin Yun can only take out a spatial divine power pearl. How about this? When you go over, don't get too close to the myriad realms divine sun. If you meet people from a 9-heaven divine race, let me deal with them. I am quite familiar with them." Dongfang Bingbing said. "Really?" Qin Yun's eyes lit up. This Dongfang Bingbing status is not low. The youths of a 9-heaven divine race are all very respectful to me. When the time comes, just don't say that I'm your female slave." Dongfang Bingbing said. "All right." Qin Yun now plans to approach the 30,000 universe divine sun and investigate the situation before making a decision. Qin Yun controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle and began spatial travel. After many shuttles, half a day has already passed, and they are very close to the third myriad realm's divine Sunday. At this distance, Dongfang Bingbing told Qin Yun to stop. At this moment, they are very high up in the sky. Qin Yun has never been to such a high place before. When he looked down at the divine desolate land, he could only see a large area of blue light. Moreover, he couldn't see the edge of the divine desolate. It can be seen how big the divine desolate is. "I'll change my clothes before going out," Dongfang Bingbing said. She changed into a white tight suit, her long ponytail hanging down in front of her chest. She looks quite gorgeous and mature, extremely flirtatious. "Then what identity should we pretend to be?" Qin Yun asked. "You are my big brother," Dongfang Bingbing said. Chapter 2384. Qin Yun can't predict how intense the competition for the third myriad world's divine sun will be. What surprised him is that even Dongfang Bingbing's father, Boss Dongfang, doesn't want to participate. Those 3 bosses are very strong. They're even stronger than Jiang Jiuquan. It is normal that Jiang Jiuquan, the Jiang clan king, doesn't want to participate. Bingbing, do those 3 bosses have a deeper understanding of myriad heavens divine desolate? Are there any other powerful races in myriad heavens divine desolate? Qin Yun asked. Dongfang Bingbing shook her head and said, "I don't know. My father didn't discuss this with me in detail. He only told me that I can't leave Heavenly Law Pawn Shop because myriad heavens divine desolate is filled with danger." She and Qin Yun slowly flew towards the third myriad world's divine Sunday. The third myriad world's divine sun seems to be calling out to all kinds of powerful beings in myriad heaven's divine desolate, provoking them to fight and finally obtain the right to enter the third myriad world's divine Sunday. In the natural world, some male beasts would fight until their heads bleed in order to obtain the right to be with female beasts. And some male beasts, because they are very strong, can occupy even more female beasts. Qin Yun believes that the current situation of the third myriad world's divine sun is the same. If one is strong enough, they can occupy even more myriad worlds' divine suns. If one can enter the third myriad world's divine sun from the very beginning, then one can obtain even more strength through the myriad world's divine sun and then further occupy other myriad worlds' divine suns. Therefore, the competition for the third myriad world's divine sun is very intense. If one can obtain this third myriad world's divine sun, then they might be able to obtain more in the future. Qin Yun contacted Space God through the communication talisman. "Brother, help me connect to Old Man Nameless." Qin Yun wants to contact Jiang Jiuquan through the old man. Jiang Jiuquan promised him that he would provide him with information about the third myriad world's divine Sunday. The god of space quickly helped Qin Yun contact the nameless old man. Qin Yun communicated with the nameless old man through the communication talisman. Are you inside the ancestor god Sun? Help me find Jiang Jiuquan and ask him about the third myriad world's divine Sunday. Palace King, the third myriad world's divine sun situation is very complicated. Now that Jiang Jiuquan and the others don't dare to go out to fight, it's possible that the people in the 20,000th world's divine sun will be chased away and can only hide in the ancestral god Sun. The nameless old man said, the reason why Jiang Jiuquan and the others were able to enter the ancestral god Sun realm was because they had cooperated with the 9 suns very early on and helped them grow. Now, with the birth of the divine sons of all realms, the 9 suns would become more and more powerful. Jiang Jiuquan and the others' abilities were limited, so they wouldn't be of much help. Therefore, they wouldn't be able to continue working with the divine sons. The fact that Jiang Jiuquan and the others were still inside the ancestral god Sun meant that the ancestral god Sun was still very considerate. Why is the situation of the third universe divine sun so complicated? I am flying there right now. Qin Yun asked. Palace King, don't go there for now. According to what I know, all the spies sent by the 9 heavens divine race are finished. Among them, 3 of the stronger Tao God elders have their souls scattered. The nameless old man hurriedly said, although it looks very calm, there are many hidden dangers. Even a Tao God's soul dissipated, Qin Yun said in alarm. Do you know who did it? Was it the myriad realm's divine sun? Or some other creature? I don't know. In short, Jiang Jiuquan has completely given up on fighting for the third universe divine Sunday otherwise. He won't even know how he died. The nameless old man let out a long sigh. Palace King, if you want to get close, remember to be vigilant. All right, go find Jiang Jiuquan and ask him about the situation first. All right, ask him about the heavenly sovereigns. Qin Yun said. Qin Yun cut off the connection with the nameless old man and looked at the myriad realm's divine Sunday. It looks like it is quietly shining, but there are many dangers hidden in the depths of the myriad realm's divine Sunday. Perhaps there were already many powerful beings lying in ambush within the dense mist of the god Sun. Uncle Qin, what's wrong? Dongfang Bingbing saw Qin Yun's grave expression and said, are you afraid? If you are afraid, then don't go. Of course not. I just contacted a friend and found out that the powerful spies sent by the 9 heavens divine race all died after approaching the third universe divine Sunday. There were even a few Tao God elders among them. Qin Yun said. Dongfang Bingbing heard Qin Yun's words and did not say anything else. Her expression became very solemn. She only hoped that Qin Yun would not bring her along to risk his life. Qin Yun slowed down and secretly controlled the lotus-shaped divine sun heavenly soil to scatter inside the first pearl of the 9 sun divine spirit. He transferred the 5 seeds he obtained from the heavenly law inheritance pearl to the divine sun heavenly soil. Then, through the 9 sun divine spirit, he absorbed the divine power of 3 myriad realms divine suns and transferred it to the divine sun heavenly soil. The heavenly law inheritance pearl came from the blue sky universe. The blue sky universe is like a huge seed. The blue sky universe has been to many god realms and absorbed the inheritances of many god realms, as well as the essence of those god realms. Then it condensed into many inheritance pearls. Finally, it exploded in the heavenly divine desolate, spreading all kinds of inheritances, as well as the seeds of strange flowers and plants. Qin Yun was fortunate enough to obtain a heavenly law inheritance pearl from the 3-Eye King. The 5 seeds inside must be very rare flowers and plants. Now that he is close to the third universe divine sun, he is borrowing the divine power of the divine sun to quickly stimulate the seeds to germinate and grow. Uncle Qin, answer me honestly, can you beat my father? Dongfang Bingbing said. I haven't fought before. How would I know? Qin Yun shook his head. I can't be sure, but I feel that if I fight him one-on-one, I should be able to suppress him with all my strength. If that's all you have, it's still not enough. Dongfang Bingbing said very seriously, I am at the Tao God realm, and my father has already broken through to the Tao God realm and became Shun Tianjun. Shun Tianjun? Qin Yun said with a frown. Is this the realm above Tao God realm? You don't even know this? Dongfang Bingbing said with a look of disdain. It's not strange. You are only at the sacred God realm. All right, I'm still very far away from Shun Tianjun, but I feel that I should not be far from Tao God realm. I have already cultivated 2 sacred heavenly Tao images. I will be able to cultivate the 3rd one very soon. Qin Yun said, You have 10 images. Even if you have 3 sacred heavenly Tao images now, you still need to cultivate 7 more. How long will that take? Dongfang Bingbing said somewhat anxiously, Your talent is not bad, but you are not steady enough. With just this bit of cultivation, you are already blindly wandering around. It only took me a few months to cultivate the 1st and 2nd sacred heavenly Tao image. Qin Yun laughed and said, Bing Bing, how long did you take to cultivate the 1st and 2nd sacred heavenly Tao image? You really cultivated it in a few months? Dongfang Bingbing found it hard to believe. I also used about 100 years back then. Don't forget, when the 3rd Myriad World's Divine Sun came out, I was still just a little profound god. Qin Yun chuckled and said, My growth speed is about the same as Heavenly God Desolate. Dongfang Bingbing felt that it was infuriating to compare with others. She no longer asked Qin Yun about cultivation, afraid that she would be provoked again. The reason why Qin Yun is planting those seeds now is because he hopes to grow a powerful divine medicine. At that time, the divine pills refined by the Dan transformation heavenly furnace might allow him to break through even faster. The light mist began to appear in front of them. This meant that they had arrived at the border of the Myriad World's Divine Sunday. The closer they got to the Myriad World's Divine Sun, the denser the light mist became and the hotter it became. Even at the border, the scorching heat they felt was extremely unbearable. Dongfang Bingbing has a pretty good defensive heavenly talisman, so she can easily fly through the scorching hot light mist. After arriving at the border, Qin Yun saw many large ships floating within the light mist. Aside from the large flying ships, there are also some grand floating pavilions and palaces. They are all large flying magic tools with very strong defense. The people inside are all people with illustrious status. Sure enough, many people came. Qin Yun looked at Dongfang Bingbing and said, Do you have a decent flying magic tool? Of course I do. Dongfang Bingbing took out a large golden rectangular house. It looks very similar to the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. This thing is very similar to the Heavenly Tao pawn shop. It looks like a miniature Heavenly Tao pawn shop. Qin Yun said with a smile. Dongfang Bingbing said, Don't look down on this thing. It was refined by the big boss of the Heavenly Tao pawn shop back then. After speaking, she brought Qin Yun into the golden rectangular house. It is a very spacious lobby. They can see the situation outside from inside. Heavenly Tao pawn shop's big boss? Qin Yun said with a smile. Heavenly Tao pawn shop originally only had one big boss. My father and the others all called that big boss Heavenly Tao senior brother. Later on, he refined the Heavenly Tao pawn shop's authority into 5 Heavenly Tao blood medallion and gave it to his junior brothers. Dongfang Bingbing said, His junior brothers are now the 3 big bosses. Plus old Spicy Monkey and Fatty Goo, those 2 trash. The Heavenly Tao pawn shop's big boss is indeed created by the Heavenly Tao. Qin Yun is inside Dongfang Bingbing's flying house. He is paying attention to the surroundings. At this time, a few ships are approaching the rectangular flying house. I am 9 Heaven's divine races Jiang Clan King's son, Jiang Daliang. I wonder if you are one of the 3 big bosses of the Heavenly Tao pawn shop? Jiang Daliang's voice came from a blue flying ship. This guy also came to join in the fun? Qin Yun did not expect that Jiang Daliang would be able to jump around so quickly. I am Boss Dongfang's daughter, Dongfang Bingbing. Dongfang Bingbing coldly replied. She does not know the relationship between Qin Yun and Jiang Daliang. So it is Bingbing. I have long heard of Miss Bingbing's great name. Before Jiang Daliang finished speaking, he was interrupted by another large ship's voice. Miss Bing Bing, I am Nine Heavens Demon Emperor's son, Long Peng. Come sit inside my large ship. I have a generous gift for you. Long Peng's large ship looks like a short dragon with a pair of golden peng wings. Long Peng should be a Nine Heavens divine demon born from the combination of a dragon and a peng. Another floating palace transmitted a voice. Miss Bing Bing, I am divine King Jiang Xian's ninth son, Jiang Zhenchuan. Can you give me face and come to my palace? These are all famous people from the Nine Heavens. Now Jiang Daliang is very embarrassed because he is only a grandson and Jiang Zhenchuan and Long Peng are one generation older than him. Chapter 2385. Those young masters outside seemed to understand Dongfang Bing Bing very well. They knew that she had a high status and was very talented. A strong woman like her was the favorite of those young masters, and they wanted to conquer her the most. Ordinary women would throw themselves into the arms of disciples from prestigious sects like them. They had seen many of them, so naturally they didn't like them. Only someone as high and mighty as Dongfang Bing Bing could make him feel a strong desire to conquer her. Of course, they didn't know that Dongfang Bing Bing, whom they had been trying to woo, was now Qin Yun's maid. The more Dongfang Bing thought about it, the angrier she got. She was Boss Dongfang's daughter, had many heavenly Dao statues, and even subdued the sacred Calamity Gate. But now, she was reduced to a maid. Lady Bing Bing, come to my place. I am the son of divine Monarch Jiang Xian. I am also a human. He is much better than that old demon Long Peng. Jiang Zhenchuan shouted. Jiang Zhenchuan is just a good-for-nothing. He doesn't have any ability. If we were to compare strength, he is not my match at all. Long Peng said with a sneer. Miss Bing Bing, my father is the Jiang clan king. He has a lot of power in the ancestral god Sunday. I can invite you to enter the ancestral god Sun to play. Jiang Daliang was not discouraged. What's so fun about ancestral god Sun? That lousy place is just a small lousy place that Zhu Gaoyang randomly gave you. The inside of the ancestral god Sun is not completely open. Jiang Zhouchuan is only at the outer part of the ancestral god Sun. Jiang Zhenchuan said with sneer. Jiang Daliang, this is none of your business. Quickly scram. Dongfang Bing Bing looked at Qin Yun and asked, do you want to meet them? You tell them that whoever wins will meet. Qin Yun said with mischievous smile, then reached out to touch Dongfang Bing Bing's beautiful face. Dongfang Bing Bing slapped away Qin Yun's hand and shouted loudly, you guys fight whoever wins, I will meet with them. When Long Peng, Jiang Zhenchuan, and Jiang Daliang heard this, they knew that Dongfang Bing Bing was deliberately provoking them to fight. They weren't stupid. Even if they won, they would only be able to see Dongfang Bing Bing. They wouldn't be able to sleep with such a beauty. It wasn't worth it to make enemies with others just to see Dongfang Bing Bing. Lady Bing Bing, you must be joking, right? Fighting and killing isn't good. Jiang Zhenchuan laughed. Exactly. Why don't we all gather together and discuss about the third universe deity's son? Isn't that why we're here? Long Peng said with a smile. Lady Bing Bing, I have first-hand information. I got it myself. Even my father doesn't know about it. Jiang Daliang shouted again. He just wanted to regain some face. He didn't really want to please Dongfang Bing Bing. Dongfang Bing Bing looked at Qin Yun. She wanted to listen to his instructions. Invite them in. Qin Yun said, try to make them speak as much as possible. All right, but remember, don't touch me again later, or else they will look down on me. Dongfang Bing Bing snorted and said, if you want to touch, then do it now. Qin Yun chuckled as he extended his hands and rubbed Dongfang Bing Bing's face, causing her to roll her eyes. Are you done yet? Dongfang Bing Bing gritted her teeth and snorted. Almost. Qin Yun feels that teasing Dongfang Bing Bing is very fun. He doesn't really want to touch her face. Dongfang Bing Bing brought Qin Yun to a reception room and took out a screen. She told Qin Yun to sit behind the screen and not speak. She also restrained her aura and pretended to be an expert. Qin Yun sat behind the screen and released a mist to cover his face. Then he deliberately released a faint and profound aura of divine power. At this time, Long Peng, Jiang Zhenchuan, and Jiang Daliang also came in. Long Peng was a nine heavens divine demon, but he did not have a head of silver hair. Instead, he had golden hair, a slightly large nose, like an eagle's nose, golden skin, eyes flickering with golden light, and his face was extremely handsome. He is wearing golden dragon scale armor. After he came in, he took out a large dragon throne and sat down. He looks very imposing. Jiang Zhenchuan was handsome and had a mustache. He looked middle-aged, but his demeanor was very young. Adding on his white clothes, it made him, who was originally a middle-aged man, look even more young and handsome. Jiang Daliang was beaten by Qin Yin to the point where only his head was left, but now he seems to have recovered quite well. After being taught a lesson by Qin Yin, he also seems to be more calm. He is wearing a rather strange purple gold armor and a hat. The one with the lowest cultivation is Jiang Daliang. He is only a sacred god, so his aura is the weakest. Long Peng's aura is the strongest. No wonder he said that Jiang Zhenchuan doesn't have any strength. Of course, Jiang Zhenchuan is not weak either. After all, he is the son of divine King Jiang Xian. He looks delicate and pretty. Sitting there, he has quite a bit of power. After the three of them came in, they all smiled heartily and repeatedly greeted Dongfang Bingbing. Furthermore, they are not stingy in praising Dongfang Bingbing's beauty. Dongfang Bingbing's face is always cold. She is sitting at the seat of honor. Her aura is very strong. She coldly looked at the three people with fake smiles on their faces. She really can't smile now. She, who has been reduced to a servant, is in a very bad mood. She did not give them any face at all. Miss Bingbing, the person inside is... Long Peng looked at the screen. He can see that there's a person inside, but he can't see what that person looks like. He is my grandpa, Dongfang Bingbing said. Which one of you said that you have a lot of information regarding the third myriad world divine sun? Quickly tell me. It's me. Jiang Daliang promptly said with smile, Miss Bingbing, this is information that I obtained with great difficulty. I will only share it with you in private. Miss Bingbing, don't be fooled by this brat. If you look carefully at Jiang Daliang, you will know that he only has one head. His body is a lump of iron. Jiang Zhenchuan laughed loudly and said, A lump of iron body means that it is a body refined from divine iron or something. Jiang Daliang, how could you be so careless? You even lost your own body. Long Peng laughed loudly and mocked. Dongfang Bingbing also feels that it is strange. Jiang Daliang is Jiang Zhenchuan's son, yet he ended up like this. This is my tribulation. Since I am still alive, it means that I've already passed through my great tribulation. This will be of great help to me in the future. Jiang Daliang said with a proud expression. You have never experienced this kind of great tribulation, so you will not be able to grow up. Jiang Daliang, if you really have information that can make my grandpa happy, then you can be considered my friend from now on. Dongfang Bingbing said. Miss Bingbing, don't worry. My information is absolutely reliable. Jiang Daliang cupped his hands and smiled. Although my cultivation is not high, I still have the ability, not like some guy who has a body full of cultivation, but is like an idiot. While speaking, he coldly looked at Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan. Jiang Daliang, are you tired of living? Long Peng immediately became furious. He fiercely stood up and glared at Jiang Daliang. Jiang Daliang, no matter what, I'm still your uncle. How could you belittle me in front of Lady Bingbing? You disrespectful little bastard. Watch how I'll teach you a lesson. Jiang Zhenchuan was also enraged and had a fierce expression on his face. Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan valued seniority very much. Jiang Daliang was a generation younger than them, and his strength was also inferior to theirs, yet he called them idiots. This was an insult to them. You are all idiots, so what? Jiang Daliang sneered. You are all Tao God realm, but you do not dare to go deeper and only dare to wander around the edge of the divine sun. If I had your cultivation, I would have gone in a long time ago. Jiang brat, you are courting death. Jiang Zhenchuan's eyes surged with killing intent. He He roared and was about to attack. Please note, this is my territory. Dongfang Bingbing frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, Miss Bingbing, Jiang Daliang doesn't have any information at all. He is lying to you. I will help you teach him a lesson right now. Long Peng suddenly took a step forward and punched towards Jiang Daliang. Dongfang Bingbing cursed in her heart. She raised her hand and released an ice sword condensed from divine power, striking towards Long Peng's fist. Boom! When Long Peng's fist was struck, the divine power within it dissipated, and he hurriedly retreated a few steps. If you want to fight, go fight outside. Don't fight here. Dongfang Bingbing said coldly. Long Peng, you don't have any information on the 3,000 realms divine sun, right? Then you should leave. Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan don't have it. They're just here to mess around. Jiang Daliang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Dongfang Bingbing attack. Stinking bitch. So what if I don't have it? I've already come in, and you still want to chase me out? No way. Long Peng could not suppress his anger and exploded in an instant. He felt that since he did not expect a cold and aloof woman like Dongfang Bingbing to like him, he might as well use force. He often did this in the Nine Heavens. Miss Bingbing, we respect you, but you are so cold to us. What do you take us for? Jiang Zhenchuan was also very unhappy as he glared at Dongfang Bingbing. Jiang Zhenchuan, let's join hands and take down this bitch. After we kill her, we'll return to the Nine Heavens. Even if that boss Dongfang wants to kill us, he won't be able to do anything to us. Long Peng suddenly laughed sinisterly. Jiang Zhenchuan, do you have the guts to do it? Why not? Jiang Zhenchuan, am one of the top 10 bullies in the Nine Heavens. Jiang Zhenchuan laughed out loud. Kill this bitch, then torture that little bastard Jiang Zhouchuan, then return to the Nine Heavens. No one could do anything to us. In the Nine Heavens, they were the type of tyrannical tyrants. Whoever they didn't like, as long as they could beat them, they would kill them and eat them. Now that they were being treated like this by Dongfang Bingbing, they were naturally angry and didn't care about that much. Dongfang Bingbing gritted her teeth in anger. She had long known that the people from the Nine Heavens were not good people, but she never thought that they would be so tyrannical. Stinking bitch, you are not our match. Obediently take off your clothes, lie down, and enjoy. Long Peng laughed loudly and said, All of you will die. Dongfang Bingbing's voice is bone-chilling. A sacred tribulation gate suddenly appeared behind her. The tribulation gate opened, and the heavenly ice sword Dao flew out. He already took out the heaven locking chain from inside the screen. The heaven locking chain is very effective against Nine Heavens divine demons and Nine Heavens divine race people. Dongfang Bingbing is very strong, but Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan are both divine king's sons. They have heavenly talismans and all kinds of equipment refined by divine kings. They are very strong. Chapter 2386. Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan joined hands to attack Dongfang Bingbing. Not only did they not feel ashamed, they even looked very excited. Dongfang Bingbing released a tribulation gate and shot out a heavenly ice sword Dao image. It was very powerful, but Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan were not afraid at all. After Jiang Zhenchuan saw the tribulation gate, he was shocked, but he did not care and laughed loudly. No wonder this bitch is so arrogant. She actually subdued a sacred tribulation gate. As Jiang Zhenchuan spoke, a 7 cores, 9 heads formation appeared around him and surrounded him. It formed a very powerful barrier and blocked Dongfang Bingbing's heavenly ice sword Dao image. The heavenly ice sword Dao image was not weak. Although it did not pierce the barrier, it released an extremely strong ice cold divine power and sealed Jiang Zhenchuan and the barrier in ice. A woman with a sacred tribulation gate will definitely feel different. I'm really looking forward to it. Long Peng laughed sinisterly, and a pair of large golden wings appeared on his back. He rushed towards Dongfang Bingbing like a golden beam of light. His wings flapped and suddenly became very big. They were like 2 huge palms that wanted to grab Dongfang Bingbing together. Dongfang Bingbing immediately withdrew the heavenly ice sword Dao image. The heavenly ice sword Dao image flew back and slashed Long Peng's wings that had become very big. After Long Peng's wings were slashed, they suddenly shrunk, and many golden spikes shot out from his body. These were the blue crystals condensed by the Nine Heavens demon race. However, after Long Peng poured his powerful golden divine power into them, they turned into many golden spikes. Dongfang Bingbing held the heavenly ice sword Dao image and shook her sword. Ice-cold sword energy spread out in all directions and formed a bone-chilling sword energy barrier that blocked the incoming golden spikes. The golden spikes suddenly exploded like many small bombs and shattered Dongfang Bingbing's ice-cold sword energy barrier. Even more small spikes continued to fly over. Dongfang Bingbing lightly shouted, and cold energy surged from her body. Her body turned into an ice sculpture in the blink of an eye. The spikes hit her ice sculpture-like armor and exploded again, creating a series of small explosions. The ice armor she released was very strong and was not broken by Long Peng. Long Peng purposefully maintained a certain distance from Dongfang Bingbing because he did not know her well enough. It was easy for him to be tricked in close combat, and it was evident that Long Peng was quite experienced. Previously, Dongfang Bingbing had underestimated Qin Yun, so she directly attacked Qin Yun at close range, causing her to be sucked in by Qin Yun and immediately lose her combat strength. Whoosh! Jiang Jinchuan, who was sealed in ice earlier, used the Seven Cores Nine Heads formation to shatter the Heavenly Ice Sword's ice seal that Dongfang Bingbing had released. Damn bitch, I'll let you have a taste of my Seven Cores Nine Heads formation. Jiang Jinchuan cursed angrily as he controlled the Seven Cores Nine Heads formation to fly over. The sacred gate of tribulation behind Dongfang Bingbing suddenly began to tremble. Then, a snow-white wave of cold air surged out. After the shock wave surged out, many white heavenly ice swords surged out of the tribulation gate like a surging river. Countless heavenly ice swords gathered like a river. After they surged out, they covered Dongfang Bingbing's body, protecting her. Countless heavenly ice sword images surged out and turned into a powerful wave. When they touched Dongfang Bingbing, they instantly strengthened even more. Jiang Zhenchuan's Seven Cores Nine Heads formation was directly jolted away by the imposing aura. Long Peng is holding a huge golden rod. It is 2 to 3 meters long. The huge rod is engraved with a mighty dragon carving. The dragon carving has golden thorns all over its surface. Looking carefully, it looks like a very fine and sharp tooth. It is very likely that it is made from dragon teeth. This is a dragon tooth club. Long Peng jumped up. Both his hands are holding the huge dragon tooth club and vigorously smashed it down on Dongfang Bingbing. With a boom, a loud explosion shook the hall. The sword aura enveloping Dongfang Bingbing, as well as the ice armor on her body, had been shattered in an instant. Her fair and graceful body, as well as her beautiful ice-cold face, appeared once again. Her beautiful face is now filled with panic and cold anger. And the tables and chairs in this small hall, as well as the screen behind them, have all been shattered. His entire body is enveloped in blue light. Long Peng and Jiang Jinchuan cannot see his appearance. However, they're secretly on guard. Long Peng's strength is very valiant, and at the same time, he is also very vigilant. After smashing down with his rod, he immediately jumped back and maintained a distance from Dongfang Bingbing, avoiding close combat. Dongfang Bingbing gnashed her teeth, looked at Long Peng and Jiang Jinchuan and said coldly, "You two idiots fighting inside my flying magic tool, truly reckless." Qin Yun is currently only holding the heaven-locking chain. As long as Dongfang Bingbing can continue fighting, he will not interfere. He feels that Dongfang Bingbing lacks actual combat experience, especially when fighting with experts of the same level. Now is a rare opportunity for Dongfang Bing to fight, so he will not interfere as much as possible. So what? Jiang Zhenchuan laughed loudly and said, "Do you think this broken thing of yours can trap us? As Jiang Zhenchuan spoke, he threw out a heavenly talisman. The heavenly talisman instantly transformed into a huge blood-red fireball. The fireball is incomparably heavy. It has the power to distort space. The scorching hot divine power is filled with ferocity. The sound it emitted when it vibrated caused people's hearts to palpitate. At the same time, Jiang Zhenchuan threw out the heavenly talisman. His body was also protected by the 7 cores, 9 heads formation. As for Long Peng, he used his heavenly Peng wings to protect himself from the flames. Jiang Daliang also had something to defend himself with. Right now, he only needed to protect his head because his body was originally a puppet that was refined. Boom! The fireball, transformed from the heavenly talisman, trembled a few times before exploding. The entire hall is immediately filled with flames. The most terrifying thing is that the flames seem to carry many fragments. When it hit a person's body, it is like being hit by a bullet. Qin Yun is secretly alarmed by the might of the heavenly talisman. It must have been refined by divine Monarch Jiang Xian. Dongfang Bingbing can only protect herself with all her strength. She cursed Jiang Zhenchuan in her heart. Since he can't beat people, he used a powerful heavenly talisman to launch a sneak attack. Even Dongfang Bingbing is barely able to withstand the explosion of the heavenly talisman. She did not even have the time to defend and was injured by the explosion shockwave. With such a close-range explosion and her lack of defense, it is inevitable that she will be injured. And Qin Yun is more concerned about Long Peng. Long Peng can't be considered a name. It only means that this 9 heavens divine demon is a combination of dragon and Peng. Under the effect of the 9 heavens demonic power, it can evolve into an even stronger demon species. This Long Peng used its own body and did not rely too much on divine power to block the heavenly talisman. It is clear that its strength is not bad. Again, I will blow up your crappy house. The heavenly talisman in Jiang Zhenchuan's hand seems to be free of charge. He took out another one. My lord, how long are you going to watch this show? Dongfang Bingbing could not take it anymore and immediately shouted, Are you still not going to make a move? A person who can be called lord by Dongfang Bing is definitely not simple. However, Jiang Zhenchuan is not afraid at all. He laughed loudly and said, Bullshit, my lord. I think he is scared silly. Then my blood son, heavenly talisman, will directly explode him. Jiang Zhenchuan threw the heavenly talisman in his hand. Just like the heavenly talisman from before, it transformed into a blood-red fireball. The blood sun heavenly talisman was refined by my father, divine King Jiang Xian. He used tens of thousands of flame cultivators to refine it. He gathered a great amount of flame blood and absorbed the heavenly universe, divine sun from the 9 heavens to refine it. Jiang Zhenchuan laughed loudly and said, A sacred tribulation gate suddenly appeared in front of Qin Yun. This is Nether Sun's sacred tribulation gate. The tribulation gate opened and the inside is completely dark. It is so dark that it can cause people's scalp to go numb. Moreover, an incomparably dreadful devouring power rushed out. Qin Yun controlled the devouring power and locked onto the blood-red fireball. The blood-red fireball suddenly scattered and then flew into the sacred tribulation gate like loose sand. The blood-red fireball that filled the hall has been completely absorbed by the sacred tribulation gate. After the sacred tribulation gate devoured enough, it closed the gate, turned into a light, and returned to Qin Yun's body. Just like that, the Blood Sun heavenly talisman has been completely devoured by Qin Yun. Dongfang Bing is extremely shocked looking at this scene. She knows that Qin Yun has a Nether Sun, but she did not expect that Nether Sun would also have a sacred tribulation gate. Moreover, Nether Sun has not evolved into a sacred heavenly Tao image, yet it is so dreadful. If it evolves into a sacred heavenly Tao image, wouldn't it be even more dreadful? Who are you? Long Peng also realized that Qin Yun is very strong. He said in deep voice, You won't have a good ending if you offend us. Long Peng opened his wings and coldly looked at Qin Yun. You better mind your own business and obediently scram from this place. Jiang Zhenchuan furiously yelled, "Wretched bastard, you destroyed my blood sun heavenly talisman. Don't even think about leaving." After speaking, he controlled the 7-core 9 heads formation to fly towards Qin Yun. Qin Yun took a step out of the blue energy barrier protecting his body. After Jiang Daliang, who was hiding in a corner, saw Qin Yun's face, he was so scared that his soul almost flew away and scattered. He is extremely shocked in his heart. He knew that Qin Yun is very strong, but he did not expect that Qin Yun would be Dongfang Bing's uncle. Qin Yun's eyes flickered and shot out 2 intense light beams. The intense light beams shot out and quickly split apart. Then, like lightning, it split into many electric arcs and formed a heavenly seal god restriction. The heavenly seal god restriction enveloped the 7-core 9 heads formation, causing the 7 hearts and 9 heads to stop and float in the air. Qin Yun clasped his fingers together and continuously shot out heaven-extinguishing finger power. With a few finger attacks, the 7 hearts and 9 heads were completely destroyed. Bastard, Jiang Jinchuan is infuriated. Another heavenly talisman appeared in his hand. Even Long Peng took out a heavenly talisman at this moment. Qin Yun vigorously swung the heaven-locking chain in his hand. The blue heaven-locking chain suddenly grew longer, and its end was like a dragon's head. It moved as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it pierced through Long Peng's heart. After penetrating Long Peng's heart, the heaven-locking chain continued to extend and penetrate Jiang Jinchuan's heart. Walala! Under Qin Yun's control, after the heaven-locking chain penetrated them, it began to shrink. Furthermore, many small chains appeared within the chain and spread throughout his body. Long Peng and Jiang Jinchuan were quickly tied up by the heaven-locking chain. Both of them were tightly bound from head to toe. Chapter 2387. Qin Yun grabbed one end of the heaven-locking chain and swung it vigorously. Long Peng and Jiang Jinchuan, who were tied to the other end, were swung back and forth violently against the wall. What caused them the most pain were the small chains that grew out of their bodies, piercing through their flesh and bones and wrapping around their bones. Not only was the heaven-locking chain strong, but it was also very torturous when it was used to tie someone up. Long Peng, on the other hand, felt much better. This was because he was a 9 heavens divine monster and had a strong regenerative ability. He could quickly regenerate and reduce the pain. However, this did not help him escape from Qin Yun's binding. The two of them could be said to be finished. It was just a matter of how long they could live or what kind of torture they would suffer. "Let's go," Jiang Jinchuan shouted angrily. "You, don't forget, I am the son of the divine, King Jiang Xian." Dongfang Bing scolded coldly. "I am also Boss Dongfang's daughter. Didn't you still make a move on me? Stupid woman. That's because after I kill you, I can run back to the 9 heavens to hide. And if you kill me, my father will definitely come here to take revenge for me." Jiang Jinchuan shouted. "If you don't believe me, then give it a try. The consequences of offending the divine King Jiang Xian are very serious." Boom! Just as Jiang Jinchuan finished speaking, Qin Yun used exploding heaven finger power and smashed Long Peng's head. Then, Qin Yun struck out with his palm, condensing the Nether Sun totem into the Dragon Peng's body, suppressing the 9 heavens demon race's regenerative ability. After Long Peng's body was unable to regenerate, Qin Yun once again attacked Long Peng's body with Palm Strike. He used heaven-shaking 9-style heaven extermination. After the violent shockwave erupted, it was accompanied by intense flames that poured into Long Peng's body, blasting Long Peng's body into many flaming fragments. Godly Monarch Jiang Xian will definitely avenge you, right? Qin Yun smiled as he looked at the dumbfounded Jiang Jinchuan. You killed Long Peng?" Jiang Jinchuan began to tremble as he looked at the fragments with a face full of fear. Long Peng was a very powerful 9 heavens divine demon. It possessed a very strong regenerative ability. Even if it was hit by 2 Blood Sun heavenly talismans, it would not be killed and could immediately regenerate. But now, the Dragon Peng has been smashed into pieces by Qin Yun, and there is no sign of it regenerating. To be able to kill a Tao God realm, 9 heavens divine demon so cleanly and easily, this was extremely impressive. Even if it was Jiang Jinchuan's father, God King Jiang Xian, it would not be easy for him to kill a 9 heavens divine monster so easily. At most, he could only capture it and seal it before destroying it bit by bit. It's not like you were blinded by me. Can't you see that he's already dead? Qin Yin maintained a smile and asked, will godly monarch Jiang Xian really come? Who exactly are you? Only now did Jiang Jinchuan realize that Dongfang Bingbing's uncle was not an ordinary person. He shouted at Dongfang Bingbing, Miss Bingbing, I was wrong. Quickly ask your uncle to let me go. I'm not that shameless. Dongfang Bingbing sneered. You guys brought this upon yourselves. She was puzzled when she saw Qin Yin kill Long Peng so easily. She had a certain understanding of the 9 heavens demon race. Her father often mentioned that the 9 heavens divine demons were very difficult to kill. When fighting with the 9 heavens god beasts, one had to suppress them as quickly as possible and then find an opportunity to seal them. And Qin Yin easily killed the 9 heavens divine demons. It can be said that he completely crushed them. Dongfang Bingbing did not believe that Qin Yun could kill the 9 heavens demon emperor, but now she believes it. Uncle, my father will come. You can use me to threaten him. He will agree to any condition. Jiang Jinchuan begged. Please don't kill me. If you kill me, you won't get any benefits. I don't need any benefits. Moreover, godly monarch Jiang Xian will definitely not agree to my condition for a trash like you. Qin Yun said with smile. Godly monarch Jiang Xian is not an idiot. Jiang Daliang mustered his courage and shouted, Jiang Jinchuan is a good-for-nothing. He is weak. He is the weakest and most useless of godly monarch Jiang Xian's sons. Damn bastard, shut up. Jiang Jinchuan roared in anger. Palace King, this Jiang Jinchuan has been refined by godly monarch Jiang Xian. You must be careful when you attack him. Maybe after you kill him, the East curse will burst out from his body. Jiang Daliang reminded Qin Yun. Godly monarch Jiang Xian likes to refine all kinds of things into his children's bodies to conduct all kinds of experiments, or to control his own children. Jiang Jinchuan's expression changed. When he heard Jiang Daliang call Qin Yun Palace King, he immediately thought of the Nanyang Palace King. The Nanyang Palace King is a person that godly monarch Jiang Xian and heavenly demon divine King hate to the bone. Furthermore, godly monarch Jiang Xian had placed the 9 heaven law curse on Qin Yun's parents. So that's how it is. Then I have to be careful. Qin Yun chuckled and took out the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. Jiang Jinchuan shouted and begged Qin Yun to let him off, but in the end, he was still thrown into the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. Qin Yun placed the nether sun fire into the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron to burn Jiang Jinchuan. What made Qin Yun even more astonished is that while burning Jiang Jinchuan, the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron would erupt with tremors from time to time. That godly monarch Jiang Xian actually refined many things into Jiang Jinchuan's body, causing his body to crackle and explode inside the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. Palace King, godly monarch Jiang Xian will definitely come. You don't have to worry about this. Jiang Daliang bowed and arrived beside Qin Yun. His body is trembling. Dongfang Bingbing previously thought it was strange that Jiang Daliang, Jiang Jiuchuan's son, would be beaten until only his head remained. Now she knows that it was definitely done by Qin Yun. I heard that he will only come with an avatar. Or could it be that godly monarch-level people are unable to come to the divine desolate? Qin Yun asked. Originally, he only planned to come with an avatar, but now, his true body might come. This is mainly because of the 9th heaven Empyrean. Jiang Daliang then simply explained about the death of the 9th heaven Empyrean and the death of the Empyrean sovereigns in the divine desolate. Qin Yun also knows about this matter. The existence of the Empyrean sovereigns is very miraculous. It can be seen as the continuation of the 9th heaven Empyrean sovereigns because he has the same memories and all kinds of inheritance as the 9th heaven Empyrean sovereigns. However, the Empyrean sovereigns have their own personality and soul. They can't be considered as the reincarnation of the ninth heaven Empyrean sovereigns. The Empyrean sovereigns are a new beginning. Moreover, after eating the body of the ninth heaven Empyrean sovereigns, they quickly grew up. Adding the 9 mysterious Tao images, their overall strength can't be underestimated. Jiang Daliang said, "Sit down." Qin Yin waved his hand and took out 2 chairs. "No need, I can just stand." Jiang Daliang doesn't dare to sit. After Qin Yin sat down, Dongfang Bingbing stood beside him. She looks like a servant girl. Jiang Daliang can also see that Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing have a master-servant relationship. However, Jiang Daliang doesn't find it strange, because from his point of view, no matter what happens to Qin Yun, there is nothing strange about it. Qin Yun asked, "I also want to fight for the third myriad realm's divine Sunday. You said that even Jiang Zhouchuan doesn't know about the information you have. Is that right?" Some of this information was obtained from the people of the other god realms. I have been with those people for this period of time. I used some methods to make them talk. They are very reliable. Jiang Daliang said. Qin Yin nodded and said, "Tell me, what kind of information is it?" Jiang Daliang has been bowing his body and lowering his head. He doesn't dare to look at Qin Yin. Now he raised his head and looked at Qin Yin. After making eye contact with Qin Yin, he can't help but feel fear and hastily said, "The Empyrean sovereigns will most likely come." The Empyrean sovereigns were currently hidden in the Empyrean divine wilderness. Although they were just born, they will soon establish their own faction. What is this guy's current strength? Is he as terrifying as the legends say? Qin Yin is more concerned about this. Many sources say that the Empyrean sovereigns are divine heaven monarchs, stronger than the previous 9th heaven Empyrean sovereigns. However, my father believes that the Empyrean sovereigns are currently in a very weak state, so they haven't appeared yet. Jiang Daliang said, "Apart from this information, is there anything else?" Dongfang Bingbing asked. "The Heaven Demon Divine King will also fight for the third myriad realm's divine sun. According to my investigation, one of the Heaven Demon Divine King's avatar is already in the second myriad realm's divine sun." Jiang Daliang said, "That guy, I destroyed one of his puppet avatars last time. If I meet him, he will definitely fight with me." Qin Yin said with a slight frown, "If the Heaven Demon Divine King's true body was Divine Heaven Monarch, then Qin Yin would not be able to defeat him." "Anything else?" Qin Yin asked again. "Also, I've encountered a new type of race. They are very powerful. They have a pair of purple eyes and pointed ears, just like fairies." Jiang Daliang said. They said that they are the Purple Sun Fairy race, newly born fairies of the Divine Desolate. Dongfang Bingbing's expression changed and said, "If it's the Purple Sun Fairy race, then it's very likely that they were born from the divine universe, Purple Sun. My father said that there was once a divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain, that fell into the Divine Desolate. The Purple Sun Fairies might have been born from that mountain." "How strong are these Purple Sun Fairies?" Qin Yin asked. "They look very young. One of them should be at the Tao God realm." Speaking of this matter, Jiang Daliang's face is also filled with shock. He sighed and said, "The Divine Desolate is truly too powerful. It has only been formed for a short period of time, and it has already given birth to such powerful creatures. If a youth's appearance was that of a Tao God, then wouldn't an adult's appearance be that of a divine heaven monarch?" Previously, many people said that the Divine Desolate is extremely large. No one knows how many powerful creatures are hidden within it. Furthermore, every time a myriad realm's divine sun appears, the Divine Desolate will double in size and many powerful creatures will be born. If the Purple Sun Fairies are willing to converse with you, that means that they should be relatively easy to communicate with. Qin Yun asked. Chapter 2388. Qin Yin is very curious about the Purple Sun Fairy. He wants to confirm if the Purple Sun Fairy is a native life form of God Desolate. If it is native to God Desolate, then it means that God Desolate has great potential to be able to give birth to such a creature. This also means that there will definitely be other powerful creatures, like the Purple Sun Fairy. They might even be very ferocious. Boss Dongfang and the others did not participate. They must have encountered other stronger creatures. They know that those creatures are going to fight for it, and are afraid that they won't be able to defeat them, so they did not participate. They should have more information than me. Jiang Daliang said. Boss Dongfang and the others said before that God Desolate has gradually given birth to powerful creatures. To be able to make bosses like them feel fear, it can be seen that they are indeed very powerful. Qin Yun is very clear that if he goes to fight for the third Myriad Realm's divine son, he will definitely face a very intense battle. At that time, he must be very careful to not be killed. My father definitely knows more than you, but he didn't say it out loud. If he didn't participate, it means that the other bosses are no match for him. Dongfang Bingbing said. She also hoped that Qin Yun would withdraw so that he wouldn't bring her to her death. Palace King, you better reconsider. If it wasn't for the fact that it's very dangerous, my father wouldn't have withdrawn. He also said that even my grandfather, Divine King Jiang Xian, might not be able to gain any advantage. Jiang Daliang said. Qin Yun waved his hand and said, so many powerful creatures want to fight for that Myriad Realm's divine son. It can be seen how important it is. Maybe there is something hidden inside the third divine son. I must snatch it. Not only Jiang Jiuchuan and Boss Dongfang. Even Yushang Yun from Divine Moon expressed her intention to withdraw, but she is still willing to help Qin Yun. However, Qin Yun doesn't want to trouble Yushang Yun because she still has the Divine Moon clan to take care of. Furthermore, Divine Moon is facing a calamity, so he doesn't want Yushang Yun to follow him and take risks at this critical moment. The Divine Judge also decided to withdraw later on. He must know a lot about the situation of the third Divine Sunday. In other words, Qin Yun will now have to fight alone. Don't be afraid. During the competition, it doesn't mean that the stronger ones will be able to obtain it. Sometimes, it also depends on luck. Qin Yun said with a smile. That's right. If you're alone, it'll be easier. You can go in and observe for a while, or wait for an opportunity to strike. Jiang Daliang smiled. Then don't leak the news of me going in. The Divine King Heavenly Seal in my hand should be as important as the third Myriad World's Divine Sunday. If they know that I went in, they will definitely attack me just like they did to the third Myriad World's Divine Sun. Although Qin Yun's face is filled with smile, his smiling eyes are filled with threat. De Liang was terrified in his heart. Jiang Daliang hurriedly signed a soul contract and swore not to reveal Qin Yun's whereabouts. Jiang Daliang, your grandfather is Divine King Jiang Xian. Do you have any way to sense if he's nearby? Dongfang Bing said coldly. He is the great master's enemy, and his strength is not weak either. We need to be on guard against him. Yes. Jiang Daliang hurriedly took out a red talisman. Qin Yun took the talisman and looked at it. He said with a frown, is this made from human skin? Yes, it's made from scalp. It was made by my father to sense my grandfather's soul fluctuation. Jiang Daliang said, my father has always been on guard against my grandfather. You said earlier that Divine King Jiang Xian likes to refine some things in his descendants' bodies. Do you have it on you? Dongfang Bing asked again. Jiang Daliang said with smile, I originally had it, but the body has already been changed, so I don't have it anymore. His body was previously destroyed by Qin Yun. Then tell me, what do I need to do to make Divine King Jiang Xian release the 9 Heaven Law curse? Qin Yun said, your father doesn't know, but I think you should know a bit. Although Jiang Jiuchuan is Divine King Jiang Xian's son, he seems to have very little contact with him. Jiang Daliang is different. He has many things that Divine King Jiang Xian gave him, and his body has also been stuffed with many things by Divine King Jiang Xian. My grandfather is very cunning. This old fox is very difficult to deal with. Even my father doesn't want to meet him too much. He is worried that he will be controlled by a curse. Jiang Daliang shook his head and sighed. Qin Yun looked at Jiang Daliang and suddenly thought of a plan. He said, then how is your relationship with Divine King Jiangxian. It's all right. Grandfather needs me to monitor my father because he knows that my father is hiding many things from him. Jiang Daliang said. He is very honest in front of Qin Yun. He even sold out his own father. Jiang Daliang, I destroyed your body before. Do you hate me? Qin Yun said with a chuckle. No, I don't hate you at all. I'm very grateful that Palace King spared my life. After all, I was in the wrong first. Jiang Daliang's body shivered. All right, you'll follow me from now on. Qin Yun said, I need your help. Help me take down divine King Jiangxian. This. All right. Jiang Daliang is astonished and decisively agreed. However, he is somewhat embarrassed and said in low voice, Palace King, my grandfather once forced me to sign a soul contract. If I want to do something to harm him, I will die. He didn't cast the 9 heaven law curse on you, right? Qin Yun asked. That's not true. If we can sign a soul contract, there's no need to cast a curse. Casting a curse requires a lot of energy and also consumes a lot of precious things. Jiang Daliang said. Qin Yun took out the spirit creation heavenly cauldron. After the small blue cauldron with wings appeared, Dongfang Bingbing's face is filled with astonishment. She lightly shouted, Why is this cauldron in your hands? Qin Yun did not answer Dongfang Bingbing. He said to Jiang Daliang, Come, I'll help you get rid of divine King Jiangxian's contract soul power. Is it really possible? Jiang Daliang can't believe it. Not to mention the contract made by divine King Jiangxian. Even an ordinary soul contract would be very difficult to get rid of. Even Dongfang Bingbing felt that it was impossible. Others can't, but I can, Qin Yun said with a smile. Don't worry, there is no pain, no risk. Jiang Daliang can only agree and cooperate with Qin Yun. He handed over his soul to Qin Yun. Qin Yun said that there is no risk, but it is a lie. There is still a risk, but it is relatively small. Jiang Daliang's soul was placed inside the spirit creation heavenly cauldron. Qin Yun began to activate the heavenly cauldron. Based on his own experience and powerful mental power, he searched for the contract soul power that locked onto divine King Jiangxian. Then, he injected his mental power and began to refine the contract's soul power. Why is the spirit creation heavenly cauldron in your hands? This is something that belongs to Great Uncle Heavenly Tao. It is extremely precious. Dongfang Bingbing anxiously said in surprise. I heard that my father and the others fought to the death over this cauldron. Bingbing, I am not a great evil person. As long as you follow me, I guarantee that you will be better off than your father. Qin Yun chuckled. He did not answer where this cauldron came from. You wanted to take away my father's heavenly law blood token? Dongfang Bingbing coldly snorted. Stop your wishful thinking. He might give me other things, but he views the heavenly law blood token as his own life. He will not give it to me. Just let him stand on my side. Qin Yun said. Then why do you want him to stand on your side? Cooperation must have benefits. Dongfang Bingbing was not stupid. The next time you see him, just talk to him. He will consider it. Qin Yun said, I can't promise him anything right now, but if he wants to live a little longer, he can only cooperate with me. Are you threatening him? Dongfang Bingbing coldly snorted. No. Qin Yun shook his head. You don't understand. You will definitely understand what I mean. Dongfang Bingbing also felt that the attitude of the 3 bosses towards Qin Yun is somewhat strange. This is because the 3 bosses are stronger than Qin Yun. However, when they were in the Heavenly Law pawn shop, the 3 bosses did not dare to directly clash with Qin Yun and were even somewhat timid. If it was anyone else, even if it was Shun Tianjun, as long as they caused trouble in the Heavenly Law pawn shop, they would definitely be exterminated by the 3 bosses. Now, when Dongfang Bingbing saw that Qin Yun had something like the soul creation heavenly cauldron in his hands, she knew that his identity was not simple. Not long after, Qin Yun opened the soul creation heavenly cauldron and Jiang Daliang's soul returned to his head. Jiang Daliang could clearly feel that he had completely broken free from divine King Jiangxian's contract soul power. This made him wild with joy. Although he was going to sign a soul contract with Qin Yun, he was still very happy. From his point of view, Qin Yun was much more reliable than divine King Jiangxian. Furthermore, he was most likely to be killed by Qin Yun in the divine desolate land. As long as he relied on Qin Yun, he would not be killed by Qin Yun. As for divine King Jiangxian, he was too sinister. He did not have any feelings for his own descendants and only wanted to completely control them. Qin Yun and Jiang Daliang signed a soul contract, and it was a master-servant contract. In the future, Jiang Daliang would be his servant. Palace King, how do you want me to cooperate with you to take down my grandfather? Jiang Daliang asked curiously. If divine King Jiangxian contact you again, tell him that you have a way to get the Yushan sealed head. Qin Yun said. Jiang Daliang immediately nodded. He knew that Qin Yun wanted to set up a trap to deal with divine King Jiangxian. This was indeed a very good plan. Divine King Jiangxian is an old fox. He will definitely be very suspicious. Will he believe that Jiang Daliang has a Yushan sealed head? Dongfang Bingbing said. He said that he has a way to get it. What method is that? Jiang Daliang, just tell your grandfather that I, Qin Yun, want to make a deal with Jiang Zhuchuan. I want to use the Yushan sealed head to exchange for something. In short, just make him believe that I am making a deal with Jiang Zhuchuan. Qin Yun said, wait for divine King Jiangxian to react. Then I will instruct you to proceed with the next step. Move. Yes, then I will take my leave first. Jiang Daliang nodded. Take away Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan's flying treasures. It's your reward. Qin Yun said, thank you for your reward, Palace King. Jiang Daliang was somewhat happy and immediately left to receive Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan's flying treasures. Chapter 2389. Dongfang Bingbing has no other choice but to accompany Qin Yun into the deeper regions. She really doesn't want to go in with Qin Yun. In her opinion, competing for the myriad realms' divine sun with their little cultivation is courting death. Qin Yun, answer me honestly. Are you really willing to let me throw away my life? Dongfang Bingbing said with hidden bitterness. If we really encounter danger, you will definitely be able to escape, and I will definitely die. Qin Yun pinched her face and said with a smile, no matter what, you are still my little slave girl. How can I be willing to let you die? You men always say nice words. Dongfang Bingbing rolled her eyes. Her tone is filled with resentment. My father and the other two big bosses don't dare to go in, but you barged in. I'm finished this time, Sai. I still have a great youth. I still want to live for a few more years and witness the heavenly gods. Huang has matured, but now he is going to die. His soul will fly and scatter. Qin Yun patted her face and said with a smile, Bing Bing, you are Boss Dongfang's daughter, a strong woman with 7 images. What are you afraid of? Who is afraid? I already said that even though I am your slave, I am not afraid of death. I just don't want to die in vain. Dongfang Bingbing said with unyielding voice. Qin Yun couldn't help but say with a smile, I just think that you are afraid of death. Dongfang Bingbing bitterly sighed and stood behind Qin Yun. She pinched his shoulder and said in a soft voice, Master Qin, can you not go in? I will die. I am really afraid. You won't die. If I can obtain the 3rd myriad realm's divine sun, you will be able to enjoy it as my personal slave. Qin Yun patted her hand and said with a smile, Dongfang Bingbing has never seen Qin Yun's method of escape. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so worried now. Sigh, looks like I am dead for sure. Dongfang Bingbing has a look of despair. She can only control her square box flying magic tool and continue flying towards the myriad realm's divine sun, passing through the dense light mist. Qin Yun took out a hexagonal mirror. It is the Star Dome divine mirror he obtained from the Divine Star Race Emperor. I heard that this is some kind of heavenly divine tool, and it is also very rare. Qin Yun did not know how to use it. He only knew that it used to belong to the White Tiger. Later on, the White Tiger was surrounded and killed by the experts of the Divine Star Race. The Star Dome divine mirror fell into the hands of the Divine Star Race's Emperor. He had seen the Arch of the Divine Star Race use it before. Through this mirror, He could release a large number of stars and then use the stars to set up a formation. Qin Yun's usage of star runes is pretty good because he possesses the Star Lord inscription spirit. But now, he had no idea how to use the divine Stardome mirror. Could it be that my cultivation is not enough? That shouldn't be the case. If a weakling like the Divine Star of the Arch can use it, then I can definitely use it too. Furthermore, I still have a Star Lord inscription spirit. Qin Yun secretly tried, but failed to make the Star Firmament Divine Mirror react. Lil Yun, this is a divine tool of the universe. Maybe it needs some special technique? Ling Yun said, this should be the use of stars. There are many stars inside the divine realm. Qin Yun could see that there were many stars inside the Star Vault Divine Mirror. Some of the stars were extremely strong, but he was unable to control the circulation of those stars. I should have looked for Sister Star God to discuss it. Qin Yun cannot help but think of the charming and coquettish beauty Star God. At the same time, he also thought of the Star Fairy Princess Yu Shutian. Lil Yin, when are you going to let Sister Steam Bun and Shui Tianzi come back? I miss them so much. Ling Yin said she also wants someone to accompany her. From time to time, she would enter the Nine Sun Divine Soul to play with Mo, and others. However, she still hoped to have great beauties as companions. For example, Zi Qingsheng and Shui Tianzi are great beauties that she is very satisfied with. Wait for me to return to the Nine Sun Divine Palace. I will ask Yuelon to find them. Qin Yun also misses Zi Qingsheng's face very much. Dongfang Bingbing also looked at the Star Vault Divine Mirror in Qin Yun's hand and asked in low voice, Master Qin, what is that thing in your hand? It looks very awesome. This is called Star Vault Divine Mirror. Qin Yun curled his lips. Awesome? It looks just like that. Ah, this. Is this really Star Vault Divine Mirror? Dongfang Bingbing's beautiful eyes widened as she said in astonishment. Star Vault Divine Mirror is a very rare heavenly divine tool. Qin Yun said with a smile. Bing Bing, you are quite knowledgeable. You actually recognize this thing. Dongfang Bingbing really wanted to hit Qin Yun. He actually has so many good things in his hands, and they're all rare divine treasures. Especially the Star Vault Divine Mirror in Qin Yun's hand. It is a very rare heavenly divine tool, and Qin Yun actually doesn't think much of it. This isn't a toy, it's a lethal weapon. Without sufficient strength, using this lethal weapon will be very dangerous. Dongfang Bingbing said very seriously. Lethal weapon? What lethal weapon haven't I seen before? There's nothing to be afraid of. Is that so? I even obtained the 9 Desolate Divine Saber before. Others also said that it was a lethal weapon, but I'm fine, and the 9 Desolate Divine Saber was even evolved into the Myriad Heaven Divine Saber by me. Qin Yun chuckled. Dongfang Bingbing stomped her feet in anger. Then, she gritted her teeth and pinched Qin Yun's arm. She said, what do you mean by this? I kindly reminded you, yet you don't take it to heart. All right, seriously, what's so dangerous about this Star Vault Divine Mirror? Qin Yun played with it for a moment and said, I don't even know how to use it. What? You already got it, and you still don't know how to use it? Don't you study it properly? Dongfang Bingbing is very speechless. I have too many things to do. I got it before and then put it aside. I didn't pay much attention to it. Now I remember that this thing is very strong. Qin Yun said. Dongfang Bingbing helplessly rolled her eyes. It was clearly a heavenly divine tool, but Qin Yun put it aside and ignored it. It was simply a reckless waste of a heavenly treasure. To use this thing, you need a Star Dao image. You have 10 Dao images. Do you have a Star Dao image? Dongfang Bingbing asked. No. Qin Yun is suddenly very puzzled. He has Nether Sun and Divine Moon Dao images, but he doesn't have a Star Dao image. No wonder you don't know how to use it. Dongfang Bingbing said with a frown. Strange. You should have a Star Dao image. People with 10 Dao images should have Sun, Moon, and Star Dao images. That is the most basic. I don't. Qin Yun spread out his hands. He feels that Ling Yuner must have occupied the position of a Star Dao image. Then there is no other way. Dongfang Bingbing said. My father said that to use Star Vault Divine Mirror properly, it would be best to have 2 Star Tao images and then use them with Star God Deity position. Then stop, Qinyan said. He suddenly feels that this Star Vault Divine Mirror is very suitable for Star God to use. Dongfang Bingbing immediately stopped and said with charming smile, Master Qin, are you going back to study Star Vault Divine Mirror? This is very good. No, I will contact an old friend and ask him to come over. Qin Yun took out a communication talisman and contacted Space God. Space God is in Myriad Realm's Divine Court. He asked Space God to bring Star God over. Originally, he wanted to bring Xian Rujing along, but Xian Rujing is in seclusion. He cannot disturb her. Star God is different. Her cultivation speed is much faster than Xian Rujing. She has already come out of seclusion. Space God pierced through space and very quickly brought Star God over. Qin Yin felt that was very troublesome, and Space God also felt very apologetic, so he gave him a few Divine Universe Golden Stones. Before, Space God was very afraid of Divine Universe Golden Stones because they are Calamity Stones, but now it is different. Divine Universe Golden Stones are gradually increasing in number in Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate. Moreover, there are many ways to use Divine Universe Golden Stones. For Space God, they are very useful. Star God arrived. She is wearing a white gown and followed Space God to enter Dongfang Bingbing Square Box Flying House. After Space God left, she put away the white gown. Little brother Yun. Star God is very gentle and charming. She lightly smiled and shouted. The gentle and charming smile on her face is filled with soul-stealing charm. Star God's every movement is overflowing with charm. Every frown and smile can bewitch people's hearts. As soon as Dongfang Bingbing saw Star God, she realized that she is a seductress rarely seen in 10,000 years. Now she finally knows why Qin Yun is not very interested in her. Because by Qin Yun's side, there are even better and more outstanding women than her. Dongfang Bingbing, who was originally very confident in her beauty, now feels somewhat inferior in front of Star God, a peerless beauty with innate charm. Big Sister Star God, I miss you so much. Last time you came to the 9 Yang Divine Palace, I didn't even invite you in, and you left. Qin Yun promptly went up and hugged the charming and delicate Star God. He and Star God have kissed before, and their relationship is very good to begin with. I'm in a hurry to go back and cultivate to become stronger. Only then can I help my little brother Xiao Yun. Star God charmingly smiled and gently caressed Qin Yun's handsome face. Dongfang Bingbing secretly gritted her teeth. She was directly ignored. Qin Yun and Star God are showing off their affection in front of her. It made her very jealous. She's also very shocked. This woman is actually Star God, because according to what she knows, Star God is a very powerful existence among the myriad gods. After all, they can use the power of countless stars. In addition, now it is Myriad Heaven's Divine Desolate. Many heavenly domains have merged together. There are even more stars in the sky, and Star God is even stronger. Cough, cough. Master Qin, should we continue in now? Dongfang Bingbing asked. Of course, Qin Yun said with a smile. Bing Bing, this is Big Sister Star God. Hello, Big Sister Star God. I am Dongfang Bingbing, Master Qin's little slave. You can just call me Bing Bing. Dongfang Bingbing said in a low voice. Dongfang Bingbing? I remember the Divine Judge saying that one of the 3 big bosses of the Heavenly Law Pawn Shop, Boss Dongfang, has a daughter called Dongfang Bingbing. She stepped into the Tao God realm at a very young age, and she even has 7 images. Star God looked at Dongfang Bingbing in shock. I'm the daughter of Boss Dongfang. Dongfang Bingbing lowered her head and said, I am also Master Qin's little slave now. She also knew that Qin Yun called Star God over to ask her to help him use the Star Dome Divine Mirror. Qin Yun wanted to see if he could use the Star Dome Divine Mirror through Star God. If it was really impossible, then he would temporarily let Star God help him use it. Chapter 2390. Star God definitely has a Star Tao image, and she also has a Star God deity position. She must have improved a lot while cultivating in the myriad realms divine court. Qin Yin learned from the space god that after the appearance of the third divine sun, the support for the myriad realms divine court is great. In the myriad realms divine court, those gods with low cultivation can quickly improve and grasp even stronger divine power. Little brother Xiao Yun, this is boss Dongfang's daughter. She actually became your servant? Star God still can't believe it. She looked at Dongfang Bing with her beautiful eyes and even walked over to caress her face. You know boss Dongfang? Qin Yun asked. He came to the myriad realms divine court before and wanted us to pawn our deity position. Boss Dongfang is very strong, but he doesn't dare to mess around in the myriad realms divine court. The current myriad realms divine court is very strong. Big sister Star God, I came to find you this time to ask you to help me take a look at this thing. I don't know how to use it. Qin Yun handed over the Star Sky Divine Mirror to Star God. This Star Sky Divine Mirror, Star God's deity position, has inherited memories. It said that the Star Sky Divine Mirror is a very rare heavenly divine tool. Star God smiled and said, Little brother Xiao Yun, you found the right person. I can't unleash the power of the Star Sky Divine Mirror. Qin Yun spread out his hands and said with a bitter smile, Bing Bing said that I need Star Dao image to use it well. Dongfang Bing Bing added, If you have Star God's deity position, you can use it even better. As for how, I don't know either. In short, the Star Sky Divine Mirror is very powerful. And I'll go study it first. Star God is also somewhat impatient to study it. She quickly took out a cushion and sat on the ground. She hit it with her mental power and poured it into the Star Sky Divine Mirror. I need some time. Wait patiently. Star God closed her eyes and said, Qin Yun's divine King Heavenly Seal can duplicate other deity positions. He has many deity positions in his hands and can pass them down many times. If he needs, he can duplicate a Star God's deity position through Star God. Dongfang Bing looked at the charming and moving Star God. She didn't expect Star God to have such a good relationship with Qin Yun. She is a very powerful goddess. Qin Yun is unable to see through Star God's current strength. No matter how strong she is very concerned about God. With the Star God here, Dongfang Bing Bing seemed to be less worried. Previously, she was very worried that only she and Qin Yun would be able to resist those powerful fellows. Now that the Star God had arrived and had the Divine Star Mirror, their strength would definitely be stronger. Bing Bing, the defense of your flying house should be pretty good, right? Asked Qin Yun. It's pretty good, but I can't guarantee that it won't be breached. Dongfang Bing Bing said, Although it was refined by great master Heavenly Tao, it is definitely not indestructible. If we meet a very strong guy, it will be hard to say. Qin Yun felt that it was stronger than his heaven-leaping shuttle, so he didn't plan on switching. If he really encountered a powerful divine power attack, he would switch to the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Star God entered a very serious state. She could not even hear the conversation between Qin Yun and Dongfang Bing Bing. Qin Yun walked over and touched her charming face a few times, but she did not react. After flying for a day, the square-shaped flying house entered a relatively thick light fog. There was still some distance to the surface of the myriad world's divine sun, but the heat here was extremely intense. Even though Dongfang Bing Bing's flying house has a very strong heat insulation ability, Qin Yun felt as if he was in a furnace. So hot. Dongfang Bing Bing couldn't stand it any longer. She could only release her Heavenly Ice Sword Dao image. The Heavenly Ice Sword Dao image became very big and stood erect. Dongfang Bing Bing walked over and leaned her back against the ice-cold sword. Only then did she feel a lot more comfortable. Qin Yun was actually able to endure it. He even used the Snow Goddess Totem to set up a formation that enveloped the surroundings of the Star God, allowing her to stay in a cool and refreshing environment. No wonder Long Peng and Jiang Zhenchuan can only stroll outside. It seems like they don't dare to come in. Qin Yun said, We are still very far from the surface of the myriad world's divine sun, but the heat here is very strong. What would happen if it was on the surface? Fear appeared on Dongfang Bing Bing's jade-like face. Qin Yun thought for a moment and then took out many talisman papers. These talisman papers are enough for him to refine heavenly talismans. He used the floating cloud divine needle and quickly carved runes on the talisman papers. He wants to make a kind of heavenly talisman. As long as he carries it on his body, it can isolate the heat of the myriad world's divine sun or absorb the intense heat. At the same time, it can also produce a certain level of defense. Qin Yun has mastered all kinds of powerful runes. Very quickly, he created a few very suitable runes and then quickly carved them on the talisman papers. Not long after, he produced a heavenly talisman and handed it over to Dongfang Bingbing. He said, "Give it a try." "What kind of talisman is this?" Dongfang Bingbing asked curiously. She feels that the talisman Qin Yun made so quickly is definitely not a good talisman. "The protective talisman I refined for you is a heavenly talisman. I added a certain amount of heavenly runes and heavenly law divine runes." Qin Yun said, "How is this possible? How can a heavenly talisman be made so easily? Even my father and the other divine heavenly monarchs would need at least 8 to 10 days to make one." Dongfang Bingbing's expression is filled with doubt. After she received Qin Yun's heavenly talisman, she secretly activated it. Suddenly, she discovered that there is an invisible divine power that formed a transparent membrane, bringing along a burst of cool and refreshing air current that wrapped around her body. Although the transparent membrane wrapped around her, it did not restrict her movement. It only produced a strange divine power that resisted the intense heat. After she stored the heavenly ice Sword Dao image, she can no longer feel the unbearable heat. This heavenly talisman should be able to last for 3 days. "I will make more," Qin Yun said. How can you make it so fast?" After Dongfang Bingbing sensed the power of the heavenly talisman, she is very sure that it is a heavenly talisman. At the same time, she is even more puzzled as to how Qin Yun can make a heavenly talisman so quickly. Qin Yun laughed and said, "This is my talent. Don't forget who I am. I am a Nanyang Palace King, the King of Gods, the owner of the Heavenly Dao Pawn Shop, and also your master." "Umph." Dongfang Bingbing lightly snorted. She will remember this matter in her heart. When she sees her father, she will ask him the reason. Because Qin Yun can make heavenly talismans so quickly, this is simply too illogical. For the 6 hours passed, and Qin Yun has made more than 10 heavenly talismans. He gave some to Dongfang Bingbing and kept a few for himself. Star God is still the same. There is no movement at all. In the high sky, there is no day or night, especially now that they are close to the surface of the myriad realms' divine sun. This place is very bright at all times. Dongfang Bingbing's square, flying house gradually approached the surface of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. The temperature here is extremely high, and the surface of the myriad realms' divine sun would occasionally fluctuate with a very strong, scorching heat wave, forming waves of berserk heat wave. It's really not easy for your flying house to fly to this place. Qin Yun slightly exclaimed, "This place is so hot. If a weaker sacred god came here, they would definitely be instantly vaporized." Dongfang Bingbing felt extremely uneasy and said, "Master Qin, let's leave. Look, no one is approaching the myriad realms' divine sun right now. Maybe even the very powerful divine heavenly lord died inside." Indeed, they did not meet anyone along the way. We didn't meet anyone else because this myriad realms' divine sun is very big. They might be on the other side, so it's normal that we didn't meet them. Qin Yun is now even more excited because this myriad realms' divine sun is very strong. He must go inside and take a look. Ancestral God Sun and the second myriad realms' divine sun also have people stationed inside. However, Zhang Jiuquan said that regardless of whether it is the ancestral God Sun or the second myriad realms' divine sun, they are not completely open to them. And the third myriad realms' divine sun is different. It might be completely open inside. What they can enjoy inside might be even better than the ancestral God Sunday. The square flying house is surrounded by intense golden light mist, Moreover, it is filled with very strong divine power. The divine power burst out from the myriad realms' divine sun, transforming into waves of berserk wind that spread out. Qin Yun originally wanted to release his mental power to investigate the situation, but the burst of strong divine power hot wind dispersed his mental power, causing him to be unable to investigate. Now, the square flying house can only determine the direction of the myriad realms' divine sun based on the direction of the strongest energy. In this kind of environment, it's impossible to sense the surroundings. Dongfang Bingbing is even more worried. After Qin Yun closed his eyes, he secretly urged his imperial heavenly heart to jump. Then he opened his heavenly eye, seeing Qin Yun's incomparably deep blue eyes. Dongfang Bingbing's beautiful face immediately turned pale in fright and let out a scream. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and used it to look around. Heavenly eye. Dongfang Bingbing cried out in alarm. She immediately hugged her body, worried that Qin Yun's heavenly eye would look at her. Qin Yun did not reply. Instead, his expression became grave because he saw many things around. Stop! Qin Yun hastily shouted. Dongfang Bingbing promptly stopped the square flying house and said in fear, Master Qin, what did you discover? I don't know if it's a beast or something. It's very huge and it's swimming around. These things can swim around outside the myriad realms' divine sun and even become huge. Could it be that they are creatures born from the myriad realms' divine sun? Qin Yun said in deep voice. For example, there is a huge city-sized creature slowly floating above them. Because it is emitting a very dense white light, it can't be seen with naked eye. Qin Yun can only see it through the heavenly eye. And there are many such huge creatures around the myriad realms' divine Sunday compared to the myriad realms' divine sun. These things are just dust, but in Qin Yun's eyes, they are huge and shocking. Even Jiang Daliang doesn't have this kind of information. Could it be that no one else came in? Divine King Jiang Xian, Empyrean sovereigns, heavenly demon divine kings. None of them came in? Or did they retreat in fear after coming in? Qin Yun muttered. Chapter 2391. Dongfang Bingbing doesn't know what Qin Yun saw, but she is already scared and anxious. She stomped her feet, pulled Qin Yun's arm, and shouted anxiously, Hurry up and tell me. She only wanted to know what kind of terrifying thing she was going to face so that she could be mentally prepared. It's a very huge thing. Just now, there was a huge thing flying above us. From the outline, it looks like a giant whale. Qin Yun said, Do you know how big that thing is? What? A huge beast? Dongfang Bingbing's expression changed in an instant. For such a huge beast to be able to swim in such an environment and even fly without being affected, it was definitely very powerful. And it's a very big one, at least the size of a small city. Qin Yun said doubtfully, There are a lot of these things. I looked around and saw at least dozens of them, but most of them are far away. Dongfang Bingbing's face immediately started sweating profusely. She is filled with panic and despair, even appeared in her eyes. Hey, are you really that scared? Qin Yun chuckled and pinched her sweaty and cold face. He said, I lied to you, don't worry. We're dead for sure. Dongfang Bingbing shouted in a low voice. Qin Yun, do you know what that thing is? I already said I was lying to you. Don't mind it. Seeing Dongfang Bingbing's reaction, Qin Yun also wanted to comfort her. You didn't lie to me. I never thought that my father's guess would be true. That thing really appeared. Dongfang Bingbing looked as if she was scared out of her wits. She weakly sat on a chair. Then what exactly are those huge things outside? Qin Yun is not afraid at all. Because they have been in here for so long and they have not been attacked by those things, it can be seen that those huge beasts are very gentle. It's the divine, sun heavenly beast, the one that protects the myriad realms' divine sun. Dongfang Bingbing said with a pleading expression, Master Qin, let's leave quickly. With the divine sun heavenly beast here, it's impossible to enter the myriad realms' divine sun. Why? Qin Yun is still very calm. Because the divine sun heavenly beast is very strong. It's at least the divine power of the Tao God realm. Now that it's near the myriad realms' divine sun, with the help of the myriad realms' divine sun's divine power, it's almost invincible. Dongfang Bingbing said, "Forget about the Tao God realm. Even the powerful Shen Tianjun might not be able to defeat him." Qin Yun said, "Are there so many divine, sun heavenly beasts? Is there such a thing near the ancestor god sun and the second myriad world's divine sun? I'm not sure about that. In short, there is a third myriad world's godly Sunday. We'd better stay away from it." Dongfang Bingbing was frightened out of her wits and suddenly shouted, "It's over. We will be swallowed by the divine sun heavenly beast at any time. Its gastric juice will definitely melt us. Continue flying in." Qinyan said, "Don't worry. If we really can't beat them, I can escape with you. Grandpa Qin, look at how beautiful the star god is. Are you willing to let such a great beauty die with you?" Dongfang Bingbing said in a low voice anxiously, "Of course I can't. Not to mention elder sister star god. Even if it's you, a servant girl, I can't bear to let you die." Qinyan laughed and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm very powerful." Dongfang Bingbing did not want to continue flying in, but Qinyan was watching her from the side. "I'm really unlucky." Dongfang Bingbing sighed helplessly. She could only control the square flying house to continue flying. Qin Yun continued to use his heavenly eye to observe the situation outside. If a divine sun heavenly beast came over, he would be able to detect it immediately. This is not a bad thing. With the divine sun heavenly beast here, other fellows won't dare to come. Qin Yun chuckled. Then we still have to face the divine sun heavenly beast. Dongfang Bingbing sighed. "Grandpa Qin, can you really beat that thing? If it's one or two, you might be able to kill them, but there might be tens of thousands or even more of these things in the vicinity of the myriad world's divine sun." "I'm not afraid." Qin Yun said, "We've been in here for so long. There are these things in all directions, but we haven't been attacked. Maybe it's because we haven't been discovered yet. Sooner or later, we will be discovered. Once we are discovered, we will be finished." Dongfang Bingbing pouted. She wanted to cry. Qin Yun patted her head and said with a smile, "Bingbing, you have to believe me. I am the future divine king of the divine desolate." Dongfang Bingbing thought about it carefully. Qin Yun was still quite strong. Just when she was not that afraid, the flying house suddenly trembled. This immediately scared her to the point that she broke out in cold sweat. She immediately jumped up and hugged Qin Yun tightly, her body trembling. "Don't be afraid. It was just a divine, sun, heavenly beast burping just now," Qin Yun said with a smile. He is also very shocked in his heart. The divine sun, heavenly beast burped, and the energy wave it released was so terrifying. If it was on the ground, that burp would definitely blow over a large area of land and turn it into a sea of fire. If a large group of Saint God Realm cultivators were hit by that burp, they might even be burnt to ashes. Even if it was a Tao God Realm, it would be hard to say if they wouldn't be injured. The temperature inside the flying house suddenly rose sharply. The walls turned red and became incomparably hot. If this continues, it might deform. Is the thing refined by your great uncle heavenly Tao only at this level? Qin Yun feels that the flying house won't be able to hold on for much longer. Although it was refined by great uncle heavenly Tao, if it was really something powerful, it definitely wouldn't have fallen into my hands. Dongfang Bingbing said in fear, "Master Qin, are we finished?" "Bingbing, you are really afraid of death." Qin Yun shook his head and said with a smile, "That's because you are taking me to die." Dongfang Bingbing tenderly groaned and said, "And I don't need to die." Qin Yun said, "I'm going out for a while." "What? You want to go out?" Dongfang Bingbing screamed in fright. "What are you going out for?" "Don't. Stay here with me." Qin Yun looked at Star God and said, "Big Sister Star God, I'm going out for a while. The situation is not right now. You must stay vigilant as much as possible." "Got it." Star God still closed her eyes and replied softly. Qin Yun shook off Dongfang Bingbing, who was hugging him. then used mysterious penetration divine ability and ran out. Dongfang Bingbing promptly hugged Star God and said delicately, "Big Sister Star God, I'm scared. Just let me hug you." Qinyan arrived outside the flying house and stood on top of it. Just as he came out, he felt an incomparably powerful aura attack him. In an instant, his clothes were burned to ashes. He quickly transformed the Sky Universe Overlord into armor and wrapped it around his body. Fortunately, I have the heavenly body. Otherwise, I would have definitely turned to ashes just now. Qinyan looked at the intense and glaring light in front of him and sighed. Is this the power of the myriad realms' divine sun? Ling Yin said, Xiao Yun, do you think divine king Jiang Xian, heavenly demon divine king, and heavenly emperors will come? I don't know. Qinyan shook his head. They are definitely very strong. If they came alone, there would definitely be no problem. Jiang Daliang said that there are also those purple sun elves. They should have already come in. Ling Yin said, those who can come here must be very strong. Qinyan nodded and released the nine-sun heaven raising pagoda. Under Qinyan's control, the nine-sun heaven raising pagoda quickly became invisible. Qinyan returned to the flying house and let Dongfang Bingbing control the flying house to continue flying. After approaching the nine suns heaven raising pagoda, he used spatial divine power to transfer Dongfang Bingbing and the star god into the pagoda. At this time, Dongfang Bingbing's flying house was burning so hot that steam was rising from it. It was already melting. Dongfang Bingbing felt much more comfortable inside the nine-sun sky raising pagoda. She no longer felt the heat waves assaulting her. What's inside? Dongfang Bingbing asked. This is much stronger than my flying house. This is nine-sun heaven raising pagoda. It is very safe inside this pagoda. Qinyan laughed and said, so it's the nine-sun sky raising pagoda. No wonder. Dongfang Bingbing immediately felt a lot more at ease, and her complexion became much better. Star God was teleported to the highest level by Qinyan to study the Star Dome Divine Mirror. Dongfang Bingbing, on the other hand, was on the first floor. There were transparent walls here, so one could see outside. There was a strong light outside, so he couldn't see far and couldn't sense anything else. Qinyan can see very far with his heavenly eye. Master Qin, where did your heavenly eye come from? Dongfang Bingbing said in a low voice, this is the heavenly eye of the great martial uncle of the heavenly Tao. Why'd he give it to you? My father wanted it very much back then. The heavenly Tao is already dead. A new heavenly Tao will replace the ancient heavenly Tao. And I am a new heavenly Tao. Qinyan said, I think so. Tian Daozi also thinks so. Tian Daozi, that fraud, did he really say that? Dongfang Bingbing was originally beside Qinyan, but at this moment, she could not help but take a few steps back. She suddenly thought of Qinyan's 10 images. To have 10 images and to be able to break the 10-image curse, this was extremely rare. That's probably it. Qinyan looked ahead and suddenly said, I think I see someone. Not too far from us, there are 5 people. Their ears are quite long. Could they be the purple sun elves? Qinyan immediately focused his mind and looked over. Soon, he discovered that there was a ball of purplish-red divine power within the blurry figures. The purple sun elves are outside. Are they flying directly? Dongfang Bingbing also felt that this race was very terrifying. They could actually fly to such a place. They seem to be fighting with something. Qinyan let out a sound and said, I see. They are fighting with a type of guy that looks very fat. It might be another race. How's their physique? Dongfang Bingbing asked anxiously. She was also very curious. Their physique is the same as an ordinary human's. It's just that they look very fat and have a big belly. Qinyan said with a frown. There are a total of more than 10 of these fat guys attacking the purple sun elves. Chapter 2392. Qinyan controlled the nine-sun sky raising pagoda and slowly flew towards the battle area. As they approached from time to time, a strong wave of air would rush over and strike the nine sun sky raising pagoda. Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing, who were inside the pagoda, could feel a slight tremor. Although it was not that intense, it allowed them to roughly understand the situation outside. The Purple Sun Elves were fighting with the obese people, and the battle was extremely intense. That was why there were waves of aftershocks from the battle. The commotion caused by their fight is not small. Are there no movements from those huge divine, sun heavenly beasts? Dongfang Bingbing was very puzzled and worried. She said, Master Qin, you have to pay more attention to the movements of the divine, sun heavenly beasts. If any of them approach, don't go over. Without Dongfang Bingbing's reminder, Qin Yun had already been paying attention to the movements of the divine, sun heavenly beasts. In the distance, there were indeed more than 10 huge divine, sun, heavenly beasts swimming around. However, they were only swimming slowly and were not alarmed. Qin Yun also felt that it was strange. Why were the divine sun, heavenly beasts not alarmed? The 5 purple sun elves were facing 10 obese people. The pressure was great, and they were constantly being beaten back. They were surrounded and wanted to split up, but they were immediately surrounded. Master Qin, how strong are those purple sun elves? Dongfang Bingbing asked. If we go over and get surrounded, will we be fine? Don't worry. This is the 9 sun sky raising pagoda. It won't be that easy for them to break in. Qin Yun was not afraid at all. He was inside the pagoda and could still attack the outside. The strength of the purple sun elves shouldn't be weak. Right now, they seem to be in a sorry state because they have too many people. Qin Yun paid attention to the battle situation in front of him. Because he was still a distance away, he did not know the exact cultivation level. The only thing he could see was that the dozen or so people who looked very fat were moving very fast and attacking very flexibly. Furthermore, the energy they shot out seemed to be black in color. Then should we save the purple sun elves? Dongfang Bingbing said in a low voice. What if they kill us after we save them? Let's get closer first. Qin Yun had not decided whether to save the purple sun elves or not. Qin Yun increased the speed of the 9 sun sky raising pagoda. After a short while, the 9 suns heaven raising pagoda got closer and closer to the battlefield. The battle was far more intense than Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing imagined. Inside, there was originally a dense and scorching golden light everywhere. At that moment, waves of purple and black energy surged in front of him. When they collided, it was as if a huge wave was roaring, and it ferociously crashed into Tower's body. The 9 suns sky raising pagoda had already entered the battlefield. Everyone on the battlefield noticed that the blue pagoda was floating towards them. Right now, the 9 sun sky raising pagoda was completely blue. It looked like a blue crystal. It was very beautiful, and it still looked like a rectangular pillar. Amidst the churning purplish-black gas, Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing could see the figures of a few purple sun elves flashing past from time to time within the 9 yang heaven raising pagoda. The purple sun elves fell into a bitter battle. Qin Yun didn't see those fat people. He only knew that they were hiding in the black mist through his heavenly eye. "Two are missing," Qin Yun suddenly exclaimed. "What's missing?" Dongfang Bingbing hurriedly asked. She could not see much, but she could occasionally see flashing purple figures flying past. 2 purple sun elves are missing. Could they have been killed? Qin Yun observed his surroundings and said in shock, "Not good. A few fatties are coming over." Boom, boom, boom. Soon after, a few vibrations could be heard. The vibrations were rhythmic. It was obvious that someone was attacking the 9 sun sky raising pagoda from the outside. The 9 sun sky raising pagoda fell into a weak vibration. However, the attacks from the outside were extremely intense. At the beginning, there was only one person attacking, but now, a series of loud sounds could be heard. There were 4 people attacking from all 4 sides of the 9 sun sky raising pagoda. There are only 3 purple sun elves, and they are all heavily injured. Qin Yun had been paying attention to the remaining purple sun elves. He immediately controlled the 9 sun sky raising pagoda to spin on the spot. At the same time, it flew towards the besieged purple sun elves. The few people attacking the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda were blasted away by the spinning Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda. Qin Yun still could not see their appearances because their entire bodies were wrapped in a thick black gas. It seemed to be their protective barrier. Soon, the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda arrived near the three purple sun elves. Qin Yun immediately used the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda to release three light ribbons that flew out and wrapped around the three purple sun elves. Then, they were sucked into the second floor of the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda. They were all brought in. Dongfang Bingbing looked around and said in shock, "Master Qin, do you think they're the very cruel kind? They're on the second floor." Qin Yun said, and at this moment, more than 10 mysterious and powerful people are crazily attacking the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda. Qin Yun had no choice but to open a barrier and let the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda create a barrier that could block or absorb all kinds of powerful divine power attacks. Inside the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda, there was a very strong sun totem. Those sun totem are now absorbing a large amount of myriad realms' divine sun power, allowing the entire pagoda to have an even stronger defense. It could be said that the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda is very strong in this kind of environment. It can crazily absorb the myriad realms' divine sun power, and it is also perfectly compatible with this kind of divine power. After Qin Yun opened the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda's barrier, it immediately became much quieter. As for the attacks outside, they still did not stop. Those people knew that the purple sun elves had been rescued, and they would not rest until they broke through. Let's go to the second floor to take a look at those purple sun elves. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Bing Bing, are you going or not?" I'll go. Master Qin, you have to protect me. Don't let me get killed." Dongfang Bingbing immediately wrapped her arms around Qin Yun's arm. She was extremely afraid of death, but she also wanted to see the purple sun elves. Qin Yun brought Dongfang Bingbing and teleported to the second floor. After arriving here, three extremely powerful divine powers immediately rushed over. The divine powers were extremely scorching. The scorching divine power aura rushed over, as if it was carrying a very heavy pressure. Immediately, Qin Yun and Bingbing were pressed against the wall. "Everyone, I saved you," Qin Yun said coldly. "If you continue to act like this, do you believe that I won't throw you out?" Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing saw the three purple sun elves at close range. When they saw the three purple sun elves, they could not help but frown. They were actually three youths, and each of them had more than 10 black holes on their bodies. Two of the youths even had their hands chopped off. One of them even had his thigh chopped off. The youth who did not have his hand cut off was not much better off. His waist was dripping with purplish-blue blood, and he had almost been cut off at the waist. Furthermore, one of his eyes had been pierced through, and there was a black hole. The holes on their bodies were not ordinary injuries. It was not as simple as being pierced by someone. After being pierced, the holes still had a terrifying power remaining, so they looked pitch black. What shocked Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing the most was that after the three youths were injured, they were still very strong. The divine power that they had released earlier was very strong. The three youths were all at the Dao God Realm. A young Dao God Realm. This purple sun elf was indeed terrifyingly powerful. "I'm so sorry." The one-eyed young elf endured the pain and said, "We thought you were enemies. Thank you very much for saving us." "It's all right. I saw injustice on the road and pulled out my sword to help." Qin Yun said, "Can you let me see your injuries? Don't come over. We have bug wounds on our bodies. We all have poisonous insects in our bodies. Those poisonous insects will run to your body." A young elf whose leg had been cut off hurriedly shouted, "You guys should hurry up and dodge. Those poisonous insects will harm you." "It's fine, I'm not afraid." At this moment, Qin Yun also knew that the character of these purple sun elves was not bad. They knew how to admit their wrongs and thank him. Furthermore, they knew how to warn Qin Yun. When he went over, Qin Yun used his heavenly eye to take a look. Indeed, he saw a black worm wriggling in their bodies. Seeing this scene, Qin Yun hurriedly released the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet and covered Dongfang Bingbing's body to prevent her from being ambushed by the poisonous insects. "A very evil aura," Qin Yun said with a frown as he walked in. Just then, a wisp of black gas suddenly flew out of the young elf's pitch-black eye sockets. Dongfang Bingbing also cried out in alarm. Qin Yun stretched out his hand at lightning speed as nether sun fire surged out from his palm. The black flames burned the black poisonous insects and actually turned them into white energy. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, even more poisonous insects flew out from the bodies of the three young elves and charged at Qin Yun. Qin Yun was already prepared. He promptly used the nether sun to protect himself with supergravity. At the same time, he formed a barrier and slowly rotated. The supergravity formed an invisible whirlpool around Qin Yun. The poisonous insects that flew over were unable to approach Qin Yun's body after entering the whirlpool. Then, they slowly floated around Qin Yun's body along with the whirlpool. Are these poisonous insects? Qin Yun can now clearly see the disgusting wriggling poisonous insects. They are all very large, and there are black thorns on the head and tail of the poisonous insects that can easily pierce through the body. He released the nether sun fire and instantly burned the poisonous insects into white mist. Seeing how powerful Qin Yun is, the three young elves are astonished and impressed. If not for their serious injuries, they would have been praising Qin Yun nonstop. These are devil arrow insects. They are one of the most vicious things the dual devil race has mastered. A youth said with a face filled with despair. These devil arrow insects have already laid hundreds of thousands of eggs after entering our bodies. Those eggs are extremely poisonous. We are dead for sure. Those fat guys outside are the dual devil race. Qin Yun already arrived in front of the youth and poured in formidable mental power to investigate the situation inside his body. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.